75%. Chapter 361 Negotiation Evil God. The 10-year war has entered a stalemate. Seeing the great changes in the sky, Qin Sheng couldn't help but sigh. Compared with Korn, Tzeentch is still weaker in terms of overall strength after all. But the evil god is an evil god after all, so how could he not have any means of his own? Even though he retreated steadily and suffered countless casualties, it still caused Korn to bleed a lot, and now he is even more huddled in his own crystal labyrinth. Facing the dreamlike crystal labyrinth, Korn was not 100% sure to attack. Who knows if Tzeentch still has any cards in his hands? Although he has a grudge, Korn's own thoughts are clear, and he did not rush into it. Instead of sending his men in, he surrounded the entire maze. Procrastinating. Now just procrastinating is enough. My primary goal is to get Tzeentch's origin. When the bloodletting army finds the source of Tzeentch, even if Tzeentch has the whole card, since the source is in his hands, he still has to obey his orders, or he can directly devour the source of Tzeentch's power. Nurgle and Slaanesh will not be their opponents, and will dominate the entire subspace by then. Tzeentch was also waiting for the human being who plotted against him to come to his door. His original power is nothing more than in the hands of Qin Sheng. After more than 10 years of war, from the initial hatred and anger to the present relief and calm, Tzeentch himself can be regarded as seeing it. This dumb loss can only be caused by himself. To swallow it in the stomach, the important thing is to get back your original power first. If Qin Sheng was really asked to take the source to Korn, this dumb-headed young man would be about to cry at that time, and might even have to disappear from this world. Thinking of this, Tzeentch, who was already bearish, felt restless for a while. After a long time, Tzeentch returned to a calm state of mind again, and then entered the state of induction again, wanting to find out where his strength is. Even he himself didn't know how many times he continued to behave like this. Qin Sheng seemed to have evaporated suddenly, completely disappeared from his own exploration, without 10 traces. Is it finally here? Just when Tzeentch was about to stop this exploration, the long-awaited response from the source finally came back. Tzeentch himself knew very well that this was deliberately released by Qin Sheng. The purpose was to tell himself that he was already here and ready to negotiate. Immediately, with a thought, he made a spiritual connection with the source of that thread. I hope you can give me a condition that I can accept. After Qin Sheng lifted the suppression of the original power, after a long time, the Pengu Cation finally welcomed his guests. Qin Sheng, you have finally appeared. Tzeentch's voice sounded throughout the cabin, and then through the origin in Qin Sheng's hand, a figure gradually projected out. There is a desolate atmosphere exuding from top to bottom. Tzeentch was exhausted from this war, his subordinates were dead and wounded, and he was probably the bottom of the 4 evil gods in the warp space. Seeing Qin Sheng secretly laughing in his heart, he deserved it. After all, this is what he wants. Who told this bastard to keep calculating him? But he can't show it directly, he can only hold it in his heart. After all, he still has to negotiate. It seems you are ready to accept my terms. Please state your terms. Seeing Qin Sheng's smug look, Tzeentch wished he could tear him alive. He still had to pay for his current situation, but he could only keep this thought in his heart. After all, he still had to negotiate. If you make Qin Sheng unhappy and run to find Korn, then you are really doomed. I want to conquer the entire different space. For this kind of purpose, you can cooperate with a powerful faction like Korn. Why come to me? Tzeentch believes that if he wants to dominate the subspace, the stronger Korn is the perfect choice. That's true, but what I value more is your ability, and the combat effectiveness is second. Tzeentch is the only evil god among the 4 evil gods who has devoted himself to exploring wisdom, thinking and researching for a long time. Boundless knowledge can be said to be omniscient and omnipotent, and has the terrifying ability to discern time, and even see through Qin Sheng's identity as a reborn person. The strength can be improved quickly in a short period of time, but the knowledge is different. It has accumulated over many years, and the birth of Tzeentch is probably the crystallization of the wisdom of those psychic elders. Tzeentch's purpose, even after fighting against him several times, he can clearly feel the importance of Tzeentch to his own development. As long as you are willing to surrender to me, what if this source of power is given to you? Original power. Could it be? Only now did Tzeentch realize that what Qin Sheng held was not his own original power, but a complete. If I can integrate the original power, I am afraid that the power will grow rapidly, and I will surpass the other 3 and become the only overlord of this subspace. Immediately, Tzeentch's eyes narrowed, his brain started to work rapidly, and he began to think about how to deceive the original source. I advise you the best. Don't make any crooked ideas. If you want this source, you have to surrender to me. Don't think about anything else. You, my majestic generation of evil gods, how could you submit to a small human being like you? Put it away, your hypocritical self-esteem. You already look like this, why are you pretending? Or I will take the source to Korn, and you will disappear completely. Looking at Zinch's funny performance, Qin Sheng laughed directly. Zinch was so angry that he couldn't say anything, but because he couldn't get angry Qian Zhao he could only hold back the cabinet abruptly. The goal all along, is to use me to achieve your own goals. Surrender to me, not only become stronger, but also achieve your own goals, why not do it? For his own purpose, Qin Sheng's few words made Zinch fall into thinking. In a sense, it was indeed as Qin Sheng said, but becoming an appendage of human beings was an unacceptable result for Zinch. Qin Sheng couldn't help but find it amused to see that the evil god who tried to figure out people's hearts and seduce others would be so entangled, but convincing the other party is not something that can be achieved in a day or two. In that case, you should go back and think about it carefully. From now on, I will stay in blissful heaven. If you think it through clearly, you can come to me anytime. After saying that, the control of the source is increased, and the connection with curiosity is severed. Let's go back. Then he drove the Pengu-cation and returned to paradise. 75%. Chapter 362. The Commercial Battle of Faka Crystal Nuclei. Emperor, will this evil god really figure it out? Elise was a little puzzled. In her opinion, since she had already grasped the other party's life gate, as long as there was a little more threat, Zinch would definitely be afraid and would show surrender. How could he at this level make fun of his own life? Zinch is a smart man, and he will communicate. Also because of his smartness, it may be counterproductive to be in a hurry. Only by letting him figure it out, will he be willing to serve us. I have fought against him many times, and I know it very well. He, likewise, understands who I am. Is that so? I'm being too aggressive. No, what you said is quite right, but we still have to pave the way for ourselves. After all, the evil god is too dangerous. It's not good to stand up to the team rashly. At least if Zinch really betrays, we can also suppress him. Qin Sheng is not sure that he will be able to suppress Zinch and obtain Zinch's other gates of life just by negotiating from the source. The prerequisite for obtaining the gate of life is that Zinch voluntarily expresses his surrender. On the 5th floor of Elysium, due to Slaanesch's killing policy, the people of the entire floor complained. 1 or 2 567 people rebelling may not be able to make any waves, but a group of people rebelling is not something that a few executioners can stop. Although Slaanesch is powerful, but he enjoys too much and blindly oppresses the people, which is already a departure from the hearts of the people. What's more, the Faka crystal nucleus is too special and the number is huge, which makes some nobles on the upper floor ready to move. Among them, the 4th floor is the most serious. Many refugees smuggle these crystal nucleus with the help of the nobles, causing the entire 4th floor. The hype is gone, and the economic situation is on the verge of collapse. All this is due to Anka Bilu, who obtained a large number of Faka crystal cores from Qin Sheng, not only quickly returned to the Duke, got control of the 5th floor of the sunken palace, and directly opened up the 4th floor channel. Originally, this kind of smuggling behavior would be discovered soon, but it was unexpectedly very calm. The crystal nucleus brought by Anka Bilu was too pure, and the entire 4 layers of nobles did a surprisingly consistent cover-up work, just to be able to get from Anka. Blind Lu got more Faka crystal cores in his hands, and this greed made the entire 4th floor sink into it. Of course, if there is one, there will be 2, and the upper 3 floors will naturally flow in secretly because of the high quality of these crystal nuclei. And Slaanesch's goal is still concentrated on the suppression of the 5th floor, which led to this tyrannical policy, and the upper 4 floors were also extremely shocked, so the cover was even stricter. Of course, there will be a day when paper cannot contain fire. When Slaanesch in the hexagonal palace looked at the Karl method crystal nuclei from Qin Sheng in front of him, what he was most worried about happened. No matter how he controlled it, he could not stop the people's pursuit in the end. What the hell are you idiots doing? Didn't I tell you to control your defense? Slaanesch slapped the table angrily and growled at the people below. You guys are negligent of your duties, and you will all be dragged down and punished severely. Slaanesch also understands that the upper 3 floors can be smuggled in, and most of these guards are also sinking into it. It is impossible to kill them. If they are really held accountable, their power will be greatly weakened, and it will also lead to these confidants. Generate opinions. At this point, can we only open the treasury? With a movement of the divine mind, the whole person came to the door of the warehouse in an instant, pushed the door open, looked at the radiant Faka crystal nucleus inside, and the corner of his mouth twitched. These were all squeezed by him for many years, and he hadn't enjoyed much yet. All have to be taken out to suppress the market, as if the heart is bleeding. If you don't take it out, the market will continue to be damaged like this, and believers will no longer believe in themselves. I am afraid that by then, their strength will not be as good as that of Zinch and Korn after the war, but the situation will be even more dangerous. Someone will take these crystal nuclei out and put them on the market. Yes, immediately, several 6th-level monsters came to carry it. After finishing the arrangement, Slanesh's divine sense moved again and returned to his palace. Sarah, send someone to find out where Qin Sheng's crystal nuclei flowed in. It's best to find a way. Qin Sheng finds out, and then I will kill this bastard myself. Yes, Prince, I'll do it right away. Sarah walked out of the palace with her enchanting steps. With the current development, if other people investigate, I am afraid that I will be kept in the dark until my death, so I can only rely on these few confidants to investigate. With the opening of the National Treasury by Slanesh, a large number of Falca crystal nuclei flooded into the market, and quickly squeezed out the market share. But just when Slanesh thought that there was going to be a tug of war, the entire market reacted unexpectedly calmly, which made Slanesh a little scared, as if a huge vortex was preparing to swallow it. In the 5th-floor palace. My lord, we are really not investing anymore. Enka Zhalu asked Qin Sheng respectfully. What's the hurry? Let Slanesh consume it first. We have a lot of money, and let the people have some time to make a distinction, which one is better in the end. Qin Sheng played with the crystal nuclei he bought from Slanesh. Its purity was far inferior to the ones he brought with him. The quality is not good, and Slanesh's inventory can be compared. In addition, remember to lower the price when you invest next time. Why is this? Then don't we suffer? Fame. Slanesh wants to sell from the high-end market, so we will go to the low-end market to sell, and those who are serious can afford it. After a long time, the nobles who take this product will feel dissatisfied, and spend a high price instead. It's not as good as those in the hands of refugees, who do you think will suffer at this time? If things go on like this, Slanesh's reputation will gradually decline, his faith will gradually lose, and his power will become weaker. Then, aren't you afraid that Slanesh and the others will buy it in turn and sell it at a high price? Enka Bilu was a little worried. Don't worry about this. Our quantity is sufficient. As long as we continue to invest, they will never be able to raise the price. Besides, Slanesh, a waste that only enjoys pleasure, has no such wisdom. When Qin Sheng's Falca crystal nucleus was put on the market again, the entire economy of Blissful Sky collapsed rapidly. The crystal cores invested by Slanesh are just as Qin Sheng thought, and the quality levels are complete. Not only the common people cursed for substandard products, but even some nobles cursed angrily, and even forgot that this is the god they once believed in. In the face of desire, belief is not even mentioned. Slanesh, who tried to stop Qin Sheng's economic offensive on the 3rd floor, was completely defeated in the end. 75%. Chapter 363 Zinch's decision, Korn's defeat. Seeing the news that kept coming in, Slanesh's face turned blue and purple, and his teeth itched with anger. Qin Sheng, damn Qin Sheng. Slanesh roared angrily, making the people below tremble in fright. Even Slanesh himself didn't expect to fail so thoroughly. Qin Sheng's Falca crystal nuclei are too many, so much that the entire national treasury can't be compared, and not only are there many, but the quality is also good. The crystal nuclei he sent out from the treasury, except for the part that was consumed when Qin Sheng didn't re-enter the market at the beginning, all the rest were brought back to the treasury from the outside. The accumulation of years of torture, not only the nobles did not buy it, but even the humble refugees did not buy it, which made Slanesh very angry. During this period, he once sent people to secretly buy Qin Sheng's, and then secretly sold them at a high price, but the price became lower and lower. Qin Sheng even secretly sent people to secretly distribute crystal cores to refugees who couldn't afford it. His own believers only did this, gradually abandoned themselves, and ran to believe in what kind of bullshit true god Qin Sheng, say Lei blood. Desara, where is Qin Sheng? Where is Qin Sheng? Slanesh, who was losing his strength, lost his sanity and yelled almost madly. Desara seemed to have heard the echo, and quickly rushed from outside the palace, quickly hugged Slanesh, let Slanesh lean on her arms, and comforted her softly, Your Highness, don't panic. I have found Qin Sheng's location, Your Highness, please calm down now. Quote. I don't know how long it took, but under Dasara's sweet words, Slanesh gradually calmed down. Where is he? Now on the 4th floor, with a man named Anka Bilu. Anka Bilu, this name seems a little familiar, and after thinking about it for a long time, I remembered this an ant. This hateful traitor, who spared him last time, dared to hang out with Qin Sheng. This time, I will kill him no matter what. And Qin Sheng, I want to kill this bastard, and actually meddle in my territory. Slanesh's eyes suddenly flashed a fierce light, and his expression was gloomy and cold. Let's go. Yes, it has been a full month since I last talked with Qin Sheng. Blissful heavens economic warfare is naturally seen by the all-knowing and omnipotent Zinch, including all of Qin Sheng's actions, including Slanesh's going to Qin Sheng to settle accounts, exposed to oneself. Zinch also understood that the other party was waiting for his answer, but he put down his body and took refuge in a human being, which was an unacceptable condition for him. As a noble evil god, he has always bewitched others to believe in him, how could he believe in others? But the current situation has to make Zinch feel confused. Qin Sheng is the only one among all the creatures that he can't see through. It seems that there is a great destiny to cover the future for him. The only thing he can know is that Qin Sheng's future is unlimited of. Should we bet on Qin Sheng? Zinch looked up and asked who. Didn't you ever want to kill him? The space in front of Zinch was shattered, and a black shadow came out from it, asking back. Yeah, at first I wanted to control him and use his extraordinariness to achieve my goal, but I failed. Later, he killed my subordinate. I hated him and wished I could tear him apart. But now his growth and his fate can't help but restrain him, my hatred. Then what on earth are you thinking? I want to surrender. I want to become stronger. I want to get out of this subspace, but I have fear. When I surrender, I will no longer be me. Just follow your heart, your true wish. After saying that, it disappeared, and the space in front of Zinch returned to its original state, as if nothing had changed. Inner heart, desire. Sombra's words made Qi fall into deep thought. Perhaps, this is my destiny. From the moment Qin Sheng was reborn, everything has changed. After a long time, Zinch made up his mind not to sit cross-legged in his palace. Praise Ake, Zinch exclaimed. Your subordinate is here. Then a figure knelt down in front of John. Go out and get some air, you've been here too long. Yes, my god, outside the crystal labyrinth, inside the main tent of the Korn army, the evil god Korn watched the news from the army of bloodletters sent to destroy to find the strange source. It's been 10 years, and there's not a single trace. What are you guys doing? Korn let out an angry roar, which made the bloodletting soldiers below tremble, and the 8th level demons on both sides looked at each other. Not being able to find the origin of Zinch means that the war launched by Korn is meaningless, not only losing troops, but also completely offending Zinch. Although Korn has already realized that this war is someone's bureau, but now that everything has been fought, it is impossible to retreat. We can only hope that it will go to waste and find the source of Zinch sooner. 0. Look for it, dig 3 feet into the ground and find it. Yes, yes. Hearing Korn's order, the 2 pawns left and ran out without looking back. Just after they left, Korn raised his head suddenly with a look in his eyes. Come out with me. Korn sensed Zinch's approach. Yes. Then a group of people flew out, standing in the air, looking at the 2 people who were gradually approaching in the distance. Zinch, you dare to come out, are you going to die? Korn mocked. Korn, now that you have been beaten, you are almost out of anger, so let's stop here. HMPH, you unite with human beings and hurt my beloved wife. This feud is irreconcilable, so there is no reason to stop. 0. You and I are at this level, why bother to cover up yourself with false reasons? Zinch sighed for a while. Speak more, no doubt, you will die today. After Korn said, he flew up directly, and the strongest ultimate move, Korn's claw, 3 scratches mixed with endless killing intent and bloody aura, attacked Zinch. Since you want to fight, let's fight. How can I be afraid of you? Seeing the crystal ball in Zinch's hands, a burst of time force spewed out, forming a powerful protective force. His ultimate move was exhausted. Then a burst of powerful space power spread to the surroundings, and the entire sky changed, trembling, and the powerful space suppression force, crushing all Korn's people out of breath. Okay, Zinch, you hide very deep. Facing Zinch's strength, Korn was willing to bow down, and the space was so suppressed that it was difficult for him to make any moves. It's just me who said the whole thing. As long as you're here, you won't be able to beat me. I'm already tired from fighting, so you can withdraw now. After speaking, Tzeentch took back his space suppression, which made Korn and others ease up. Okay, very good, we have made this enmity, and one day I will make you pay the price. Let's go. Immediately, Korn issued an order to retreat. Since Tzeentch issued the order to evict the guests, Korn went down the steps. After all, he was a little tired. Even if he was not afraid of Tzeentch, it would still be a disadvantage to fight at other people's home court. Watching the Korn army gradually recede, Zanak was puzzled. Is it really okay for my god to just let them go? 76%. 360th chapter's sex abuse shot. Now is not the time for a complete break. If you really fight to the death, I am afraid that other evil gods will take advantage of it. Tzeentch replied. I see. Zanak nodded. I want to go out and lie down. During this trip, the entire subspace will undergo tremendous changes. You can count on it to be a change. Immediately, Tzeentch's thoughts moved, and the whole person disappeared in place. Yes, Zanak knelt on one knee to show respect, and watched Tzeentch leave. In Elysium, with the victory of the business war, the faith of the alien people harvested made the progress of Qin Sheng's title of Lord of the Universe increase again, and it has grown to 40%, weakened by at least 30%. The strength of Slaanesh originally comes from the desire for desires of the believers under his command, but as his 403 is too enjoyable, he controls the centralization of power, and constantly squeezes the survival of the people of paradise, and the life becomes more and more miserable as he goes down. In other words, I can't live anymore, so how can there be pleasure and desire? And Qin Sheng also took advantage of his shortcoming. As long as it is based on the benefits of those refugees, the people will naturally be grateful to Dade. This is also the difference between blissful heaven and the areas under the jurisdiction of other evil gods, just the sinking of desire. On the other hand, killing heaven's weak meat is preying on the strong, even if Biantian's mind is bewitched. As for corruption, there is probably not a single living thing. It doesn't matter which world it is, if you can't give Renmin what they deserve and keep oppressing them, you will end up with a wall and everyone retreats. Qin Sheng, who was hiding in the dark, looked at the fourth floor of blissful paradise. On the Bliss Square, 3 6-level demons were escorted. They were the executioners sent by Slaanesh to the 5th floor for execution. The bloody policy made them become. It is difficult to calm the anger of the people without death. You guys defied Lord Slaanesh, colluded with foreign enemies to harm blissful heaven. Just wait to bear Lord Slaanesh's wrath. That's right, God will never forgive you traitors. Traitors, die badly. The 3 executioners were also loyal to Slaanesh, and cursed at these rebellious fools. You group of enjoyers, you are so high above, how can you understand our suffering? That is, Slaanesh has never responded to us believers, and will only oppress us to survive. Such a god does not believe in it. Whether you don't believe it or not, Slaanesh is a good-for-nothing who only knows how to enjoy himself, and pretends to be a god. The executioner's words sparked a heated discussion among the people below. They bluntly stated their unhappiness all the time and directly cursed their previous beliefs. Qin Sheng was amazed to see it, but he didn't expect the serious resentment of the paradise heaven. Okay, the time has come, ready to execute. Enka Bilu played the role of the judge this time. He won the hearts of the people through the low-price sales and free distribution of Faka crystal cores, and successfully sat in the 4th place. Tier Chief Executive Officer. If Enka Bilu used to be, he might not dare to challenge Slaanesh so high-profilely, but now it is different. His own hatred and Qin Sheng's instruction made him no longer afraid of the gods of the past. Qin Sheng chose to do this because he also planned to take on the evil god who had lost 30% of his strength head-on, to try his own strength, so as to conquer blissful heaven. Even if he was defeated and retreated completely, it would not be a problem. Are you really planning to deal with Slaanesh directly? Qin Sheng asked the man in black standing in front of him. Of course, I choose the hard steel on the front, so I am sure of it. You also know from the remnants of the spirit race, Slaanesh is powerful. I think you are still too impulsive. Aren't you still playing tricks? At worst, you just go up. You should be able to win. It's hard to say. The man in black was also speechless for a while. Stop talking, just watch the show. In the center of the Bliss Square, Enka Bilu ordered his subordinates to carry out the execution. 3 executioners, holding magic-breaking knives, stood beside the executioner, raising their knives to chop. Wait, which of you dares? Just when the blade was about to fall, the scolding sound exploded, shaking the demons below for a while. Their level was too low. If Qin Sheng hadn't released the protection of the plane, they would have died without a place to die. Slaanesh made a move and rescued the 3 loyal subordinates. In fact, they had already arrived here, but they didn't know what kind of tricks Qin Sheng was playing. Not only rebelled against himself, but also wanted to persecute his subordinates, and the Sacred Heart suddenly exploded. I redeemed you. You are not only ungrateful to Dade, but also against me. What redemption? You are just using us to become stronger. Where are you when we need you? You will only squeeze us mercilessly. Even in the face of evil gods, the awakened refugees are not afraid of its majesty, and they directly refute. If there is one, there will be another, and the voice of insulting suddenly reappears. It doesn't matter whether you believe in God or not. What rubbish God! Slaanesh unleashed the power of the evil god, and the crowd was immediately overwhelmed, and there was no sound for a moment. His eyes scanned the crowd, and fixed on Anka Bilu. You colluded with human beings, and I spared your life. Why are you still obsessed with it? HMPH, you are just greedy for my money. I don't know he is a human being. You are stupid and don't listen to explanations. You want to kill me. I will disperse all my property to survive. I hate you and I love all of you. He replied, neither humble nor overbearing. Good, very good. Hearing this, Slaanesh laughed instead of anger, and shouted loudly to the surroundings. Qin Sheng, come out, I know you are here, why hide? Seeing this, Qin Sheng also showed up and stood opposite each other. Are you in such a hurry to see me? Qin Sheng, you are really good at it. I didn't kill you in the past. I regret it. I feel so fooled by my believers. You can't blame me. I just gave him what he wanted. Who told you to only care about your own enjoyment, indulge in your own desires, and neglect to take care of you? The current situation is nothing but self-inflicted. Qin Sheng ridiculed for a while. Hearing that, Slaanesh's veins bulged, and his eyes burst into flames. Since the disaster of the spirit race, you are the only one who dares to provoke me like this. Those old men in the past are not my opponents. You, a small human being, dare to challenge me. I really have been silent for too long, making the world forget the horror of my evil god Slaanesh. Quote. Really? Then I just want to try. Is your strength so terrifying? Then I will take your life to warn the world of my terror. Having said that, Slaanesh was ready to act. Wait a minute, I want to fight. I don't want to hurt the believers I just harvested. In an instant, Qin Sheng's figure disappeared in place. 76%. Chapter 365. Evil God of Chaos, Slaanesh. Blissful heaven sinks outside the palace. Slaanesh stared fiercely at the Pengucation that Qin Sheng was driving. It had been many years, and this was the first time he was swallowed by anger. Although Slaanesh is the youngest of the 4 evil gods, the energy that bred him is happiness, indulgence, joy and love. This kind of pure primitive desire can make any life sink quickly and become his own slave willingly. However, this rule was broken with the appearance of Qin Sheng. The believers pursued deeper desires in the future, abandoned themselves, and threw themselves into the arms of others. This was unacceptable to Slaanesh. Some people defeated themselves with desires. Qin Sheng, you will pay for your actions. Slaanesh's figure gradually became strange and enchanting, and the strong attraction made it difficult to divert his eyes. For living beings, there is nothing more attractive than Slaanesh, and they will pay more or less for spiritual pleasure. Reject. Facing the terrifying charm of Shailene, even Qin Sheng has to deal with it carefully, and he will sink into it if he is not careful. The strength of the evil god is indeed terrifying. Even if you haven't made a move, you can't escape from it just by the breath. 28 is indeed the embodiment of desire. Faced with Slaanesh's strange and enchanting, Qin Sheng did not dare to take it lightly, and quickly released the suppressing force of the plane. The space-suppressing force descended from the void, not only greatly suppressed the terrifying power released by Slaanesh, but also eased that kind of thinking. The desire to sink oneself. Although Slaanesh's appearance is that of a young man, even Qin Sheng, who has been with her all year round, can't help being moved by that kind of beauty. Feeling the invisible oppressive force on his body, Slaanesh just shook slightly, and the oppression on his body was instantly shattered. The power of the evil god is so majestic, he is not afraid of the plane force from the void at all. Qin Sheng, do you only have a few tricks? It's just an appetizer, but it's better not to follow. Since the power from the void is useless, what about the vibrations from the world and the plane power from parallel spaces? The plane suppressing control device on the Pengucation suddenly burst into light, with the blessing of dark energy, and the entire ship. The battleship uses the demon of the high-latitude plane as its keel, which can mobilize the combined vertical suppression force from the parallel space. The entire space of blissful sky is like a dream and fantasy, and the creatures in it seem to be in a time machine. Everything around them seems to be a simple small town, a bustling city, and a dense primitive jungle, etc. Maybe this is the whole world. The evolution process of blissful heaven has been unknown for many years, and these weak creatures can't help but worship this powerful force. And Slaanesh, who is at the center of suppression and release of the entire plane, seems to be divided into several pieces, in different time and space, and undergoes different changes at the same time. The joint longitudinal pressure of the space made him hold tightly and unable to move. Is this a battleship with 5-dimensional potential? Even the evil Shendu can suppress it. Qin Sheng, the manipulator of all changes, couldn't help but admire. Then try this weapon again. The Dimensionality Reduction Oscillator. The Dimensionality Reduction Oscillator used to be on the Xuanyuan Genesis, made Korn's wife Valkia, who stood at the apex of the 8th level demon, be directly and seriously injured by this blow and passed out. Now the upgraded version on the Pengu Cation can even kill level 8 monsters in one blow, but at this moment Qin Sheng aimed this powerful weapon at the evil god. He wanted to try what this weapon could do to the evil god's damage. The dimensionality reduction force that is wirelessly close to the 5th dimension oscillates, and in an instant, the entire space of blissful heaven begins to tremble. The whole area is like solidification. The power pulled from the 4-dimensional space forms a big knife and cuts towards this still space. Slaanesh naturally felt this terrifying power. This is an attack from 4 dimensions. Looking from 4 dimensions to 3 dimensions, the 3 dimensions are still, so Slaanesh can't hide even if he wants to, not to mention the vertical suppression from parallel time and space. The force made him unable to move, so he could only take the blow abruptly. The terrifying dimension reduction slash made the entire subspace tremble. In the depths of the corrupt sky, the evil god Nurgle suddenly woke up. Then he glanced at Ji Lishan, only a trace of doubt and puzzlement flashed in his eyes. But it was only for a moment, and it returned to calm again, and fell into a deep sleep again. Even if he laments the strength of this power, he only laments it, doesn't care, and doesn't have other thoughts. Killing God, Korn also felt this dimension reduction power. Looking at the expression of the blissful world, it was frightened at first, and then turned into excitement. Interesting. The power of terror is too strong, but because of the militant and killing factors in him, he becomes eager to fight this power, eager to tear the master of this power. He also stared at Ji Lishan deeply, and then ignored him. As for changing the sky, after the killing, the entire area was completely silent. Is this the change my god is talking about? Zanaik, who stayed behind, looked serious. With the outbreak of this power, he has already realized that the pattern of the entire subspace will usher in brand new changes. After the light of dimensionality reduction power passed, the entire paradise of Elysium returned to peace. Although there is no way to believe it, it did happen, and Slaanesh disappeared, leaving no trace under the direct blow of the dimension-reducing force. His Royal Highness, Desara shouted heartbreakingly, but no one responded. Qin Sheng was also incredulous about such a result, as if he was in a dream, or did he grow to the point where even the evil spirits could be wiped out? The dimension-reducing force hit was indeed hit. Qin Sheng saw it with his own eyes. He did not believe that the evil gods could be wiped out so easily. Every one of them was a monster who had lived for an unknown number of years. Even the elders of the powerful spirit clan in the past can only be sealed. How can it be solved by only 2 moves? Could it be? Or maybe. Qin Sheng woke up suddenly, looking at the sunken palace under the Pengu Cation. You're right, you've already stepped into my trap. In Qin Sheng's ear, Slaanesh's alluring voice suddenly sounded. Everything has just begun, and then I will let you see my true strength. Slaanesh's voice echoed throughout the entire space, and the entire sunken palace was distorted, as if it were an endless abyss. Seeing this scene, Qin Sheng wanted to drive the Pengu Cation and leave here immediately, but no matter what he did, he couldn't escape. He could only watch himself sinking deeper and deeper, gradually losing consciousness in the words of Slaanesh. Welcome to my paradise, Qin Sheng. 76%. Chapter 366. The Palace of Strange Desires. Few gods would like outsiders to break into their palaces, but Slaanesh is an exception. He is keen to lure other beings to his unnatural kingdom. Those who dare to break into his palace will eventually fall into the eternal twisted pleasure. When Qin Sheng regained consciousness again, looking at the magnificent palace in front of him, he kept echoing in his heart that he had encountered the elders of the spirit race before. Now, no matter whether he is loyal to his tactical figure, or the invincible Pengucation, or a powerful system, there is no response, and he is groping in such a place with the attitude of a mortal. Things are up to now, can we only make a dash for it? After waiting for a long time, Slanesh still didn't show up. Qin Sheng thought that the other party was planning to let him break into his palace. Pushing open the gate of the palace in front of you, what greets your eyes is endless gold and silver treasures. Many people are cheering and jumping for joy. They keep picking up the treasures in front of them and throwing them into the sky, enjoying the pleasure of gold hitting themselves. Walking among the crowd, because he is used to watching the system's 10,000 times rewards, Qin Sheng is very calm when facing these belongings at this moment. They strike up a conversation and get no response. But when Qin Sheng went deep, he met a familiar face, Enka Bilu, lying on a pile of gold, giggling non-stop. Seeing this, Qin Sheng immediately went up to wake him up. Just when he was about to step into Jinshan. As long as you touch this property, you will fall into greed. A sentence suddenly appeared in his mind, forming a strong sense of crisis, which made Qin Sheng stop and ask quickly. Who are you? But no one responded to him. Qin Sheng suddenly became a little lonely when he didn't get a response. Just at this moment, the Jinshan in front of him suddenly had a strange shape, and Enka Bilu's figure sank little by little. Qin Sheng was shocked, and immediately glanced around. All the people who were obsessed with property were gradually swallowed up by qi. When Qin Sheng saw this, he didn't care about it. The warning in his mind immediately ran up to Jinshan, wanting to pull Enka out recklessly, but when he stepped on it, he became violent with an obsession with treasure. In time, you will sink into it yourself. The idea of saving people can only be given up, watching Enkalu disappear in the end. In a blink of an eye, there was no one else in the entire treasure palace, leaving only a room of splendor, as if waiting for the next batch of visitors. Is this Slanesh's method of bewitching others? A palace of wealth that symbolizes greed. Quote. Seeing no other changes, Qin Sheng went straight to the exit and stepped into it. The scene in front of him changed rapidly, and he was dazzled for a while. When Qin Sheng woke up again, he was already on a small island. The trees on the island were not common trees, they were hung with all kinds of food, and the river in the forest also exuded the alluring aroma of wine. Qin Sheng also noticed that something was wrong here. He looked like a forest of wine and meat in Legendary, and immediately raised his vigilance. I don't know how long I've been on the island. I came to a village, only to hear the bustle and bustle. I hurried into it. This village was holding a banquet, and there was a lot of joy and laughter. When someone saw Qin Sheng coming, he immediately greeted Qin Sheng to take a seat and entertained him with good wine and food. Little brother came from a long way. He must be hungry. Hurry up and eat. Qin Sheng also seemed to be infected by the enthusiasm of the villagers, and he felt a little hungry. Although he consciously thought he couldn't eat, he still couldn't control his hand movements. When he was about to enter the entrance, he saw a few guys with strange shapes sitting in the distance, immediately regained sanity. I saw that those few people were so fat that they couldn't get fatter, they were still eating non-stop, and their bodies were constantly expanding. As time went by, they seemed to have reached their limit in the end, only to hear a loud bang. There was a sound, and it exploded in an instant. A shower of blood splashed everywhere, and the few villagers who greeted the guests opened their hands to welcome the blood rain, turned around and continued to greet Qin Sheng. Eat, why don't you eat? These things are delicious. The villagers who looked enthusiastic at first, now looked extremely strange after the splash of blood rain. Qin Sheng felt sick for a while, and hurried out of the village. Although several villagers chased after him, they stopped after Qin Sheng ran out of the village. This is a few travelers coming from afar again, and those strange villagers once again stepped forward to greet them with hospitality. Qin Sheng quickly reminded them, trying to stop them, but the tourists were talking and laughing, as if they couldn't see Qin Sheng, and followed the villagers into the village. At this time, Qin Sheng was so anxious that he wanted to run back to the village again to rescue them, but found himself held back. It's useless, you can't save them. A familiar voice rang in Qin Sheng's ear, stopping his actions. Why, Zinch, the person who came was the evil god of wisdom Zinch. You are in a different dimension from them. Your strength allows you to transcend the three-dimensional and stay in the fourth-dimensional, while they all come from the original three-dimensional space, so even if they are in the same space, they cannot detect it. Quote. Then do I have to watch them die? Qin Sheng felt a little reconciled. Enka Bilu had watched them disappear before his own eyes. Although there were not many interactions, it was really for him. Did a lot of things. There is no way. This is the power of Slanesh. As long as you come to this space, very few people can escape out of their own will, and eventually sink into it to continuously provide them with calendar areas. 17. Zinch shook his head in resignation. These people trapped here are just swallowed by their own desires. Slanesh only provides such a place to amplify their prayers. Then why don't I have that desire? Why are you here? Do you also feel that you are the same as those ordinary people, lacking these things? You have a lot of luck, money is good, so how can you be greedy for these things? On the contrary, if you continue to persist in saving them, on the contrary, it will cause myself to sink deeper and deeper, and fall into the hands of the colored shoes. Zinch was not in a good mood when he spoke, and his tone was full of mockery. I just want to see how strong Slanesh is. But now it seems that as long as there is a desire to give birth, it is impossible for him to die. Really, that is, then we should subdue him. Wait until you get out of his control and defeat him first. I won't attack him. Isn't it just an illusion? It's not easy to get out. Qin Sheng expressed no pressure on breaking the illusion. This is not an illusion. Slanesh's powerful spiritual space. Everything here is up to Slanesh. If you want to defeat him here, you have to find what you lost first. Zinch explained again. Things I lost. 76%. Chapter 367 No Desire, Beyond Spiritual Blockade. The falling palace outside is just a corner of Slanesh's spiritual space. So your things are somewhere in this space. Although Slanesh is full of killing intent towards you, but his style of acting prefers to degrade you, ravage, so he will not kill you. Otherwise, even if he really wants to kill you, I may not be able to keep it. Zinch's words made Qin Sheng fall into deep thought. In principle, he didn't lose anything, but was blocked by Slanesh's spiritual space, but Slanesh's thoughts made Qin Sheng feel a little funny. Slanesh, haven't you suffered enough from your own arrogance? Then how do I find what is blocked by his spirit? I can't deduce it. You just have to be careful. I'm leaving. After Zinch finished speaking, he ignored Qin Sheng and disappeared. I really don't know what I'm thinking. Now that I've made a decision, why can't I just keep my boring self-esteem? Seeing Zinch's appearance, Qin Sheng couldn't help complaining. However, there is no way that the opponent is just watching his own performance, unless he can really defeat Slanesh, otherwise, the opponent will never completely stand by him. Then I continued to explore this palace of gluttony. The situation is the same for several small islands. The deeper you go, the richer the food, and the more attractive the aroma. If it weren't for the weird scene at the beginning, Qin Sheng couldn't help but taste a few sips. After a long journey, I finally found the entrance to the next place on the last island. This place is a garden. Qin Sheng walked in it and looked at the beautiful flowers around him. He couldn't help but be moved by it. He began to recall that since he came back from rebirth, he had gained a lot, defeated pirates, established his own base, and crossed the galaxy. Conquer the planet and become an existence that all civilizations fear. Unknowingly, the fantasy came to the lake in the center of the garden. Suddenly, there was a ripple on the lake, and a figure was reflected, sitting somewhere, with various life races kneeling underneath, expressing their submission. When Qin Sheng saw the man's face clearly, he was a little shocked. It turned out that it was him. So this is me. Qin Sheng's dream is to conquer the entire universe and become the well-deserved number one you. But it's a pity, no matter how similar it is, it's not me after all. Because he understands that such a picture is not real enough, and he has not yet achieved that step. Only when he really sets foot on the apex can he feel the glory. False pictures can't fill the inner thirst. Wanting to understand all this, Qin Sheng stopped here and started walking to the next place. Could it be that Qin Sheng really has no desires? Slanesh is at the deepest part of the Palace of Desire, observing Qin Sheng's every move. He wants to pass through the entire palace, amplify the desire in Qin Sheng's heart, and degrade Qin Sheng into his own slave in order to avenge Qin Sheng's destruction of his belief. Even after passing the 3 levels of greed, gluttony, and vanity, it is hard to believe that there are such people in the world. Your Highness, don't worry, there are still 3 levels, and the real test will come next. Desara leaned on Slanesh, urging him not to worry. That's right, it's impossible for someone to have no desires. Even those old men are not degenerate in the end. Thinking of this, Slanesh quickly felt relieved, and ignored the matter of Qin Sheng, and once again entangled with the beauties around him stand up. Dominating the palace, when Qin Sheng walked in, they heard countless shouts, and when the crowd saw Qin Sheng's appearance, they instantly boiled up and sang Qin Sheng's greatness epic of litigation Qin Kong. trace. On the contrary, this operation confused Qin Sheng. Immediately afterwards, two men in suits and leather shoes approached with flattering faces, invited Qin Sheng to take a car, and took him to the center of the venue. Seeing such a scene, Qin Sheng's heart finally came out. This palace made him the core leader here, at the apex of power, and dominated everything here. Seeing the people in front of him chattering and flattering, Qin Sheng Siba sneered for a while. He could feel that these were not sincere, praising himself. His words were nice, but his eyes were full of disdain and ridicule. I am well informed, and the common people will be fooled by this kind of hypocritical power, so I don't want to accept it. But these can't be pointed out directly, otherwise they will directly disguise in private and turn into demons to tear themselves apart. Where are we going next? Qin Sheng asked tentatively. My lord, this is your itinerary. We will send you to the mansion for a short rest. After 2 days, a national ceremony will be held tomorrow. At that time, we will invite you to speak on stage. A demon briefly explained the itinerary to Qin Sheng. Hand over a form. Looking at this thing, Qin Sheng felt the hypocrisy of this place more and more. It clearly reveals the primitive atmosphere everywhere, but it is like a civilized society. It has to be said that Slaanesh has fallen from a civilized society to use it for himself. After arriving at the mansion, Qin Sheng once again lamented that this place is strange, a bit like the style of architecture he used to live in Blue Star. He couldn't help but miss his hometown, and he must go back and have a look when he has time. I'll go in and rest first, you just stay here and guard. After speaking, he walked into the mansion without looking back. It's just a human being. If you give me some good words, I don't know where it will go. Seeing Qin Sheng, after entering the mansion, the two accompanying demons instantly changed their expressions, mocking behind their backs, with contempt in their words. For an arrogant guy like him, the depravity is just a small role. It's ridiculous to be immersed in the dream of being a king all day long. It's been a long time since I met such a guy, let's have fun this time. Okay, I'll give orders now. Their conversation was naturally heard by Qin Sheng clearly, and he secretly cursed at the two actors, thinking that he acted well. When he came to the inside of the room, Qin Sheng searched carefully, but he couldn't find the passage leading to the next place, nor found the monitoring device. It seems that I can't run away for the time being. I have to accompany them to finish the trick, but after the show is over, I'm afraid I won't be able to leave even if I want to. Qin Sheng muttered to himself, analyzing the current situation. How to break the situation? Contact them. After entering the ruling palace, Qin Sheng also noticed that his oppressive power was much less. Slaanesh had been staring at him before, and now he probably went to enjoy himself again. This guy is really out of work for a day, but that's okay. How could mere shielding cut off their connection, and how could they close that powerful and mysterious system? Besides, I am no longer what I used to be. Then he sank his thoughts, put his spirit into a miraculous state, and kept searching. 76%. Chapter 368. The Awakening of Pengucation. My Lord the Emperor. After entering Slaanesh's palace, the sudden disappearance of Qin Sheng caused Elise and the others to panic instantly, losing their backbone, like a group of dragons without a leader. Elise has been in the hyperlink state all the time, wanting to get in touch with Qin Sheng spiritually. Hetty, who is the leader of the tactical doll, even wanted to go out to find it, but due to Slaanesh's closed mind, he was completely locked in this prison. Originally, Slaanesh wanted to destroy the Pengucation, and completely cut off Qin Sheng's thoughts of rebellion, because the previous battle caused him to suffer a lot, but because he actually used the demons of the plane to build it for the core. The high-dimensional level 9 civilized warship, even the evil gods are at a loss, helpless. Out of helplessness, Slaanesh could only seal it, and on the other hand, he wanted to regain Qin Sheng, otherwise he would kill him directly, and naturally he would never suffer forever, so he strengthened the mind control of both parties, and strengthened the monitoring of Qin Sheng to avoid it. Unexpected situations happen. But Slaanesh is the incarnation of desire after all. After all, it is because of the outbreak of desire, obsessed with pleasure, resulting in negligence of defense, and Qin Sheng and Pengucation got in touch. Elise, is that you? Great, Lord Emperor, I finally got in touch with you. Where have you been during this time? I was placed in the Palace of Desire by Slaanesh, and my ability was blocked, so I couldn't contact you. What about you? Where are you locked up? That guy didn't do anything to you, right? Having not seen each other for a long time, Qin Sheng is also very worried about the safety of Elise and her party. Thank you, Emperor, for your concern. After Slaanesh's teeth took you away, they wanted to attack us. Fortunately, the Pengucation has always protected everyone. This time they were helpless. But they sealed us all up. Hearing Qin Sheng's worried greeting, Elise was also happy for a while, and quickly explained. It's okay to just seal it. Do you have a way to find me based on this connection? My ability is sealed and I'm besieged. I urgently need your support. Yes, I understand, my lord, we will definitely rescue you. I've broken contact now, and Slaanesh is watching me again. Before Qin Sheng could finish speaking, he felt a strong force of investigation pressing on him, and immediately disconnected his spiritual link. Elise also sensed the urgency of Qin Sheng's situation, and quickly exited the hyperlink. Hetty. But due to the long-term hyperlink state, even a void life like her can't bear it, and she fell forward in a trance for a while. Fortunately, when Hetty heard the shout, she rushed over immediately and quickly helped her up. Elise, what's the matter? I'm looking for His Excellency the Emperor. Great, where is it? Quickly, let everyone take their positions quickly, my lord, the situation is critical, continue our assistance. Yes, I understand. You rest for a while, and I'll make arrangements. Seeing Elise's weak state, Hetty asked her to recuperate, and then went out to make arrangements by herself. After a brief adjustment, when her state gradually recovered, Elise rushed to the bridge immediately, and all the tactical figures had already rushed to her position. The Emperor is in trouble. Now that he is here, we must shoulder the responsibility to save my master. Do you understand? Understood. All the tactical figures shouted in unison. The power group, full firepower. The jump group, fill up the system energy, and be ready at any time. The defense group and the Wujing group are all ready. Unlike Anbelia and Qin Sheng who can control the battleship alone, Elise, who is better at fighting, chooses to unite the entire battleship to work together. Understood. They shouted in unison again. I understand that you are actually alive, and now you can have such a brilliant appearance, thanks to Mr. Qin Sheng, so please come and help us. Elise caressed the bridge, and said softly, from the directness of the void life form, he could feel that the demon of the plane was also alive, so he said so. Immediately, the entire driving interface burst into light, as if responding. Then please, go and meet our master. Elise was very excited when she saw the response from the Pengucation. The entire Pengucation was suddenly radiant, illuminating the cages where they were held, and then roared from the demon of the plane. The arrogance that did not allow any low-latitude creatures to restrain their freedom shattered the Slaanesh Institute, under the ban. This space shock also attracted the attention of Slaanesh, who was observing Qin Sheng. Unexpectedly, the Pengucation, which had lost Qin Sheng, exuded a more terrifying deterrent force than when Qin Sheng was driving it. Don't dare to slack off at all. Randomly cast Slaanesh's demon claws, and countless strange giant claws grabbed towards the Pengucation. Facing such an attack, Pengu Genesis let out another ancient roar, and the mysterious power from the four-dimensional space surrounded its body to protect itself, and its strange giant claws would shatter when touched. It seemed that he realized that Slaanesh himself was not here, and he was not entangled too much. The whole battleship trembled, the space around him trembled, and the majestic power of time completely enveloped it. Disappeared in an instant, escaped into the gap between time and space, went to the place where his master was. I didn't expect them to be able to move without Qin Sheng. Now I'm afraid the situation will change. Quote. The speed was so fast that Slaanesh didn't even react, and when he tried to stop him, the opponent had already disappeared, so he yelled that it was not good. The person who ruled the palace quickly killed Qin District for me. Dominate the palace. After Qin Sheng disconnected from the spiritual connection, after a short rest, it was still the next day when two demons in suits and leather shoes came to call Qin Sheng on time. After some travel, they arrived at the central square of the national ceremony. After a parade, the demons ordered Qin Sheng to speak on stage. Seeing that he couldn't escape, Qin Sheng had no choice but to go on stage, and started an impromptu performance, saying a few words on the spot. First of all, I am very happy to be elected by everyone to be the leader. It is my honor and my glory. In the future, I will also lead everyone to prosperity and live a better life. With the end of the first line, the group of demons below also applauded in agreement with the gods, and the senior demons behind Qin Sheng were also a little bit, but their eyes were full of disdain. Next I announce, those who rule the palace, give me the speed to kill Qin Sheng. Just as Qin Sheng was about to continue speaking, the entire domination palace was filled with the angry voice of Slaanesh. You idiots and devils, you are imitating people all day long, what are you pretending to be? Slaanesha's words ended, and the whole scene was extremely quiet and terrifying. Qin Sheng saw that his face had been torn apart, and he immediately started cursing. The entire venue was detonated, and the demons in the audience boiled up, tore off the disguise, and rushed towards Qin. Qin Sheng was avoiding the sneak attacks of the two nearest demons. Seeing that there was no way out, he jumped in faith directly. Jump off the ledge. It's finally here. 77%. Chapter 369. New Body of Consciousness, Ilya. Seeing Qin Sheng jump off the high platform, the demon who ruled the palace spread his demon wings and swooped away. Slaanesh, who was in the depths of Slaanesh's palace, also had a thought, and the power of the evil god was revealed in the dominating palace, attacking and killing Qin Sheng. The two forces double-teamed, leaving Qin Sheng in a desperate situation and about to perish. Just when the attack was about to hit, the space of the entire ruler's palace was shaken. Before the ship arrived, the power had already arrived. The power of the high dimension broke through the space and wrapped Qin Sheng to block all attacks. The weak demon encountered this. The force directly turned into fly ash. For the power of the four dimensions, no matter how fast Slaanesh's movements are, they still seem to be still. It is impossible to kill people under its nose. Immediately afterwards, the Pengu Cation crashed into the wall of space and appeared in the dominant palace, carefully placing Qin Sheng wrapped in dimensional power on the bow of his ship, fearing that there would be a slight injury. Emperor, 783, Emperor. After Qin Sheng landed safely, Elise, who came out of nowhere, immediately ran over to hug him, crying with joy. It's great that you're okay. Thanks to you, I came too timely. I might have become their midday meal if I was one step too late. While comforting, Qin Sheng pointed half-jokingly, and the lower part bared its teeth and claws, staring at their group of demons. Elise glanced at it with a fierce look in her eyes. Dare to disrespect the Emperor, destroy them. The Pengu Genesis roared, all weapons were lifted, and the firepower equipped on the entire battleship was tilted out. All kinds of beams and missiles fiercely swept the space of the ruler. He didn't even bother to use the plane to deal with this little devil. Power, a random missile laser can wipe these guys out. After a burst of shooting, the dominant palace, which was originally shattered due to the forced entry of the Pengu Cation, was turned into ruins at this moment. It imitated the city built in the civilization era and turned into ruins. The disappearance of the palace revealed the demonic space outside. After all, it is just a creation of hypocrisy. Qin Sheng couldn't help but lamented not only the hypocrisy of demons, but also the fragility of civilization. This is just a corner of a certain era. Under the repair, it has become a power temptation that devours travelers. Immediately afterwards, he seemed to think of something, and asked Elise, "What's wrong with this battleship, why does it listen to you?" Qin Sheng felt the great changes in the Pengu Cation, and the whole battleship seemed to have been alive. If it wasn't for this, it would be impossible for Elise and the others who stayed on it to drive so powerfully and easily, and would emit terrifying power from time to time. This is everyone's efforts, and it is also the will of the Pengu Cation itself. Although I used to be the owner of this body, due to being separated for too long, coupled with the second transformation of the Emperor, this battleship was born. A new will. As a void life form, the faint connection made me feel her existence. Elise can emphasize the tone, not only emphasizing the role of the tactical figure inside the ship, but also explaining the origin of the state of the Pengu Cation. Then can you feel where she is? I'll give it a try. Elise closed her eyes, entered the huge spiritual force and swept across the entire Pengu Cation, facing the battleship that was once transformed from the body. Now she can only feel strange. I don't know how long it took. Relying on that vague induction, the target was fixed on a place, the core power room. Elise also understood that it was the other party who telepathically brought her to that place, and she wanted to see herself and Qin Sheng. In the core power room. Okay, let's go. When Qin Sheng and the others came to the core power room, they found that there was nothing abnormal here. There is nothing, only majestic power, which continuously flows from the core position to the four directions, so as to maintain the operation and consumption of the entire battleship. We're here, come out. Qin Sheng shouted tentatively, but he didn't get any response. He couldn't help but wondered in his heart, could it be that he wasn't here? Looking at Elise, the other party nodded, indicating that the person is indeed here, but why he still refuses to show up. Do you have any purpose? Or do you need something? This time the greeting was answered, and a trace of power was suddenly released from the nearby pipe, catching Qin Sheng by surprise. Although his own strength has returned to the original level, it is really uncomfortable to be hit by the power of Pengu Genesis. Seeing this situation, Elise hurriedly used her body as a wall to stand in front of Qin Sheng. She never thought that this newly born will would be so hostile. My lord, are you all right? I'm fine. Fortunately, the strength is not strong. Although it is a bit painful, Qin Sheng can still see it. This is the first time this kind of situation has happened to him, and he is also confused. You can't be powerless to your master. Why should you protect him? He lied to us and took advantage of you. The voice of the familiar demon of the plain came to mind again and questioned Elise. No, master, he didn't lie to us. His promises have been fulfilled. He can roam the starry sky without restraint, enjoy all kinds of delicacies, and keep getting stronger. But I feel that he uses unknown power to coerce our thoughts, use our power, and transform our bodies into this. Look, sister. The demon of the plain appeared. His appearance was almost the same as that of Elise. The only difference was that he had no entity, suspended in midair in the form of a will body, staring vigilantly at Qin Sheng behind Elise. Only then did Qin Sheng recall that he had used it when he subdued the demon of the plain, whispering in the void, and tampered with some thoughts. This also caused the newly born will to be full of hostility towards itself after the power of whispering weakened. I'm sorry, the special circumstances at that time I had to use that force. Qin Kong apologized with some embarrassment. I can understand. The demon of the plain nodded, expressing his approval and acceptance. If he hadn't chosen Qin Sheng at that time, he would have already been wiped out by some forces. He was too weak at that time. My master, I didn't deliberately delve into these things. The struggle just now represented my will. I just don't want you to use that evil power against me in 3.5 in the future, let alone restrain me with mysterious power. I prefer to be free, that's all. The demon of the plain explained the reason to Qin Sheng, and the will body knelt on one knee, expressing surrender, waiting for Qin Sheng's assimilation. Qin Sheng nodded. Although that attack really annoyed him, he made it clear that something was wrong with him at the beginning, so he chose to forgive. He could not be as strong as he is today without the help of Elise and the others. At the beginning, I did have something wrong. Now that the misunderstanding has been resolved, and you are willing to respect me as the Lord, then I will give you what you want. Qin Sheng used iron heart assimilation again, and the body of the demon of the plain had already turned into a giant ship, so he could only help this conscious body rebuild a body. Your name is Sister Elise, so from today onwards, I will call you Elijah. 77%. Chapter 370 Goodbye Slaanesh. Chapter 370 Goodbye Slaanesh. This iron heart assimilation is the first time that Qin Sheng did not use absolute loyalty. Ilya has explained the situation to herself in advance. Even though she did not have any control at the beginning, she still chose to save herself. He has already influenced her invisibly. Ordinary letter. Even if there is no talent interference, he will still put himself in the most important position. The most important point is that Ilya seems to care about Elise, the elder sister, very much. From her own description, she also knows that it is not a will body that was born through secondary transformation, but has followed Elise since she was born, but there is only one demon of the plain, and that can only be done with one body, and two, she used the soul to explain this situation, but because she was always in a dazed state, she fell into a deep sleep from time to time. Although she could receive messages all the time, she couldn't communicate with the outside world, so even Elise herself didn't realize the existence of this sister. If it wasn't for the completion of the Pengucation, this chaotic consciousness has been solidified, otherwise the state will eventually disappear if it continues. In a sense, Qin Sheng gave him life, so even if Qin Sheng used void whispers to confuse them with this disgusting behavior before, she will still remain loyal to Qin Sheng. Elise also cherishes her younger sister very much, but due to the role of iron heart assimilation and absolute loyalty, she always praises Qin Sheng in front of her younger sister from time to time, causing Elijah to look at Qin Sheng with hostility all the time, which makes Qin Sheng very angry, embarrassing, but enjoying the contrast. Slaanesh, there has been no movement. Is there any plan brewing? Ever since Qin Sheng destroyed the ruler's palace, the evil god Slaanesh seemed to have evaporated, completely shrunk down, and no longer took any action against Qin Sheng. At first, Qin Sheng thought that he was about to receive revenge from Slaanesh, and when the decisive battle started, he didn't wait for the other party to act, so he put down his guard and enjoyed a few days of leisure. Slaanesh is the incarnation of desire, which is his strength and his weakness. How to say? After being completely bored with the wait, Qin Sheng decided to take the initiative and summoned his subordinates to discuss countermeasures, but Ilya was the first to answer. Although they are the same four evil gods, they are the bottom of the four evil gods in terms of overall strength. And because they are young and obsessed with desire, they don't have the experience of Korn, nor the wisdom and powerful magic of Tzeentch, and they don't have Nathan. He is strong in the terrifying attraction that can make any life addicted, easily breaking through the defense of the mind. Because of the supercomputer connected to the Pengucation, Ilya's wisdom is extraordinary. As long as there are people who are not tempted by him and who are powerful, there is nothing he can do. Yes, his desire to sink allows him to stand among the four evil gods, making it impossible for the other evil gods to deal with him head-on, but it has no effect on the master. Besides, he has already missed the best chance to kill the master. Qin Sheng nodded in agreement. He had completely regained his power. Even if Slaanesh wanted to do something, it would be useless. Then just go through the remaining 2 levels and find the evildoer directly. The Palace of Debauchery and the Palace of Decadence, one is a place full of sensual pleasure, and the other is a place of pleasure that is too gentle and easy to give up. It didn't appeal to Qin Sheng either, and after rushing through it, he went directly to the depths of the entire Slaanesh Palace. The Hall of Pleasure is not guarded by anyone, and you can hear the sound of Slaanesh enjoying pleasure in the hall, sinking into it to enjoy it, and Qin Sheng does not go in. Simple Fruit is waiting outside the hall. As if it was over, and as if it sensed the arrival of Qin Sheng, the joy in the Hall of Joy stopped, and then the door of the hall slowly opened, and Slaanesh walked out from it. You are really obsessed with this kind of stuff, and do that kind of thing whenever you have time. Seeing Slaanesh's disheveled appearance, Qin Sheng rolled his eyes and couldn't help but sneer. I am the embodiment of desire, so what's wrong with enjoying it? Slaanesh didn't care, showing a captivating smile with a charming voice. Seeing clearly, Qin Sheng couldn't help but feel a heartbeat. Although he was heartbroken, he was still able to stabilize his mind and coughed a few times to dispel the evil thoughts. Ahem, put away your magical powers, that kind of thing is useless to me. Qin Sheng, are you really going to die? Seeing that his little trick was seen through, Slaanesh changed his posture, his face was gloomy, and he stared at Qin Sheng viciously. I promise the elders of the spirit race that I will completely subdue you group of evil gods, restore peace to the subspace, and restore peace to the universe. Aren't those old men completely dead? They still want to have those illusory fantasies. I think it's not easy for you to go all the way, and you can understand that even without our existence, the world is still the same. The environment itself is nothing but it is the law of the jungle that preys on the strong, calculating each other, and the plague that constantly produces casualties during the struggle, and desire is something that every life is born with. Do you think you can stop all of this? Of course it can't. Qin Sheng also understands that what White said is not unreasonable. In fact, there are no evil gods, and those things still happen all the time. Our appearance is just to cover up this truth, to give those foolish people a direction, a scapegoat to shirk responsibility. But you have promoted the development of the matter. Without you, everything would not have become so intensified. Do you think you can shirk your responsibility by pushing it to the natural evolution of history? No matter how much you say, you can't change the result. If it weren't for the promotion of the 4 evil gods behind the scenes, how could the war intensify? I also died in the struggle against them in my previous life. There is no need to continue discussing this issue. The purpose of my coming here is to subdue you. What will happen to the world in the future will be left to itself. With a mental move, Qin Sheng summoned the Pengucation, landed here, and then teleported to the driver's cab. Seeing this, Slaanesh's figure also rose violently. Even a giant ship of a 9th-level civilization like the Pengucation was a little inferior in front of Slaanesh's figure. Although the suppression of Slaanesh's faith and strength has also been weakened by 30% through the suppression of the commercial war before, but with the reveal of the Slaanesh Palace, those ordinary people who had left their faith returned to Slaanesh's place under the sinking of strong desires. Embrace, and continuously provide energy areas for form in the spiritual space. When Wanyu's title collection progress suddenly returned to 30%, Qin Sheng had realized that Slaanesh's strength had returned to its peak state, and did not dare to underestimate the enemy in the face of the evil god's attack, so he immediately mobilized the power of the plane and the power of the dimension to defend and counterattack. The existence of the evil god is still too long. Even the devil as strong as the plane will be bewitched, so it is impossible to compete with the evil god who is going all out, not to mention the energy source to continuously absorb the power of faith from all over the universe to strengthen himself. Sword of Dimension, cut. 77%. Chapter 371 Cosmic String Wave Manipulation Bottom Logic Modification Device. Chapter 371 Cosmic String Wave Manipulation Bottom Logic Modification Device. Sword of Dimension, Cut. Qin Sheng manipulated the Pengucation from the fourth dimension, and dispatched power to form several giant swords to slash towards Slaanesh. The Sword of Dimension pierced the space and was unstoppable. Even Slaanesh could not resist, but it could not cause substantial damage. It was obviously in a static state. But every time it's like Zon Kong. Qin Sheng, don't forget, this is my domain. Do you think you can hurt me with this kind of attack? Slaanesh's charming laughter mocked Qin Sheng. In his own domain, even the power of dimension is useless. Then he summoned a few groups of powder full of desire on the battlefield, and they all turned into the appearance of Slaanesh. In addition, the difference is that these illusions come out of Slaanesh, big and small, male and female. But the original Slaanesh turned into powder smoke after eating Qin Sheng's Sword of Dimension. Perhaps the Slaanesh who was shown to others, like these avatars, is just one of many carriers. No one knows what his true face is, but he just became a slave of the Slaanesh he saw. Qin Sheng, use your true strength. Let me see. Let us see. What kind of confidence do you have to challenge the evil god? Yeah. This group of Slaanesh speaks to each other. Each Slaanesh's words are charming and touching, but they are very strange and chilling. Qin Sheng was also annoyed by the voices of this group of people, so he activated the sea-eclipsing purple light bombardment device of the Pengucation, and then purple light shot out from the Pengucation, blasting towards the group of Slaanesh clones. Even the purple light was exhausted, but it had no effect at all. Instead, it made more and more clones of the color buds on the field. Is it only this strength? Strength, not enough to see. Not enough to see. The group of Slaanesh clones taunted again. If you have the ability to come out head-on, why bother to cover up? Slaanesh's mental attack made Qin Sheng's form explode a bit, and he roared directly. The group of Slaanesh's avatars let out strange laughter when they heard the roar, and they didn't move. Instead, the Pengucation was attacked from all directions. If it weren't for the dimensional power of the pocket, I'm afraid it would have been shot to pieces long ago, but no matter how strong the defense is, facing such a powerful attack, the entire battleship will be turned back and forth, and it is not known where the correct direction is. Alarms rang out inside the battleship, and the world spun for a while. Qin Sheng could only avoid being thrown out by holding onto the bridge tightly. Elise, can you find out which of them is real? Although these avatars did not move, there was indeed an avatar that launched an attack at an extremely fast speed, so fast that they could not react, and returned to the group again after the attack. My lord, it is impossible to calculate, because each of these clones seems to be real, and each of them has launched an attack. Could it be possible to transfer the mind? Let me tell you, the Pengucation is attacked by at least 3 clones every time, and many of them are consecutive attacks from the same clone. These are all real evil gods. Yi Lia took the conversation. In this case, then activate the Cosmic String Wave Manipulation Underlying Logic Modification device to interfere with this space. Understood. Although the joint suppression of space can also carry out space division, but it will consume a huge amount of energy, and it must be reserved for dealing with Slaanesh's body. However, the Cosmic String Wave Manipulation Underlying Logic Modification device is different. It does not require energy to go to the position, and it is a pre-equipped device. It is different from the one used by the 6th-level civilization. Pengucation Star is a more advanced weapon researched and developed by researchers such as Anwei Lia. As the Cosmic String Wave manipulated the underlying logic modification device and put it into the battlefield from the Pengucation, the entire device began to calculate and analyze the entire space by itself. Naturally, the group of Slaanesh clones realized the horror of this weapon, and several clones rushed up to want it. Crush this weird device with one blow. But the device naturally also has a powerful counterattack ability. The moment a Slaanesh clone is about to touch, the device releases a strange particle outward, and when it comes into contact with the Slaanesh clone, it instantly disintegrates that sharp claw without leaving a trace. The several Slaanesh clones were also shocked, and hurriedly wanted to retreat, but it was too late. They were surrounded by strange particles, and they all disintegrated and disappeared. There is no device to prevent cosmic string fluctuations from manipulating the underlying logic modification device, and after the calculation is completed, it is integrated into the entire space, and then a small black hole is formed. A powerful attraction swallows the surrounding Slaanesh clones, and weird particles spew out again from the edge of the black hole, gathering towards the center. Like a meat grinder fish, evil avatar fell into it and was decomposed without leaving any traces. This is the crystallization of the top products of technological civilization. In one breath, the group of Slaanesh clones on the field were swallowed up, and only a few of them avoided this crisis because they hid far away. Interesting, is this the crystallization of technological civilization that you rely on, Qin Sheng? Seeing the power of this weapon, Slaanesh was shocked. Qin Sheng, who was on the Pengucation, saw this scene himself. He didn't expect that the wisdom crystallization of the 6th level civilization would be strengthened by himself and turned into an even more terrifying killer weapon. Anviria, they are really amazing. Even this kind of weapon can be developed. After a long time, it seemed that the energy of the device was exhausted, the black hole stopped, and the weird particles disappeared, but the space at the center became extremely unstable, which indirectly caused the space where Qin Sheng and others were located to be more in many cracks. Compared to that kind of weapon, you can only use it once, how can you deal with me next? Seeing that the device stopped, Slaanesh returned to his original state of self-confidence, and then summoned many clones appeared on the battlefield. Indeed, not anymore, but it's enough to deal with you now. Qin Sheng saw that Slaanesh was using the same attack style just now, and he was at the end of his rope. The true location of Slaanesh has been discovered, so there is no need to continue pestering her. Ilya, activate that device, let this evil god see the true posture of Pengucation. Clear, under Ilya's operation, the Pengucation was deformed, and the giant ship took on a human form, descending on the battlefield like a peerless ancient god. How is this possible? Seeing this situation, Slaanesh felt fear for no reason. He could feel the unstoppable terrifying aura of the ancient mechanical god. Slaanesh, I don't know if you can block it. How about the Pengucation, which has multiplied 10,000 times? 77%. Chapter 372. The Unstoppable Pengucation. Chapter 372. The Unstoppable Pengucation. Before the world was created, the universe was in chaos. A titan named Pengu woke up after sleeping soundly in the chaos for about 18,000 years. Seeing that there was nothing in the chaos, Pengu transformed a huge axe with his own power, and swung it with all his strength. One piece of chaos is two, the upper part is the sky, and the lower part is the earth, and this world was opened up by him. But the world is unbalanced, and there is a risk of collision at any time, so Pengu stepped forward again, using his tall body as the backbone of the world, separating the world completely. But in the end Pengu died of exhaustion, his left eye became the sun, and his right eye became the moon. His hair and beard became stars in the night sky. His body became the 4 poles of the east, west, south and north and the majestic 3 mountains and 5 mountains. His blood became rivers, his teeth, bones and marrow became underground mineral deposits, his skin and the fine hair has become the vegetation on the earth, the sweat has become the rain and dew, which is always favoring the world he created. This is the legendary widely circulated in Qin Sheng's hometown. He chose the name, Pengucation, not only because of the strength of this warship, but also because Qin Sheng also hoped that Pengucation would be like the legendary ship. Like Titan, invincible, 343 no one can be. Of course, the 9th level civilization giant ship Pengucation, just as Qin Sheng expected, could easily suppress the evil god Slaanesh in the first battle. Made Qin Sheng happy. After subduing Ilya, the Pengucation was further strengthened. The system rewarded the transformation ability of the Pengucation, and at the same time, the attributes of the battleship also got a 10,000-fold increase. The deformed Pengucation is like the Titan, the ancient god who created the world in legendary. It was originally a 9-level civilization giant ship. At this moment, the transformation came on the battlefield. And Qin Sheng, who was inside the battleship, couldn't help but want to worship this mechanical giant, and at the same time couldn't help being excited. This is the first time he has fought in this posture. After all, warships are still more powerful in traveling the universe. No matter how many weapons there are and how versatile they are still at a disadvantage against an opponent with such top combat power as the evil god. They are too bulky, and they cannot be hit with warships every time. It is not as good as mechs. The real deal, CIBC, is delicious. Slaanesh, is your avatar reserve enough? Qin Sheng drove the Pengu Colossus, radiating brilliantly, charging in a straight line, and the Colossus, fist swung directly at the group of Slaanesh clones. Slaanesh's avatars did not dare to be careless in the face of such an attack, they just scattered to dodge, but there were still a few avatars who couldn't dodge. To be precise, they were suppressed by an invisible space force, and they couldn't dodge even if they wanted to. Although Pengu's fist was in the air, the fist wind wrapped in his fist still tore the suppressed clones to pieces. Under this attack, the avatars did not increase due to the attack damage, but disappeared directly. Qin Sheng is very satisfied with this. After the power of the giant god Panjiu has been amplified, it has been able to completely destroy the power of Slanesh, so that the clone of Slanesh cannot absorb energy through attacks and split. There is a moment when energy is drained clean. Immediately afterwards, the giant god Pengu either used his fists or feet, and his monstrous destructive power continued to harvest the clones of Slanesh on the battlefield. Although the giant god Pengu had a huge body and was very flexible in his movements, Qin Sheng still felt that the efficiency was not fast enough, so he simply decided to use weapons of mass destruction. See Eclipse Violet Light can bombard the device. The last time I used this weapon, it allowed the number of Slanesh clones to increase without limit. But at that time, it was in the posture of a battleship, because the boost that the system gave to the Pengu-cation could only be displayed in the state of the mechanical giant, so the sea-eclipsing purple light energy bombardment device also received a corresponding strengthening ability. I saw the purple light shining on the body of the giant god Pengu, with the body of the giant god as the center, forming a powerful energy storm. Not only has a huge range, but also has a strong traction force, which can continuously suck everything in the periphery into the energy storm, and then completely perished under the attack of the majestic Tunhai Ziguang. Fortunately, it is in the subspace. If it is placed in the universe, using this trick is enough to destroy several galaxies easily. It may also cause a chain reaction, leading to the generation of black holes. It is not a black hole itself, but it is better than a black hole. Sure enough, under the energy storm of the sea-eroding purple light, the group of Slanesh avatars had no escape, and in the blink of an eye, the number decreased in a way visible to the naked eye. If it wasn't that Qin Sheng used too much power during the battleship period, the power of the purple energy reserves had not recovered, and it was because the energy storm hadn't lasted too long, otherwise this move would be enough to wipe out the entire group of Slanesh clones. Hateful. Slanesh saw that there were not many of his clones left, and his expression lost the calmness he had just now. Even the great killer of civilization is not as terrifying as the ancient mechanical god in front of him. No matter how powerful the devouring power is, it is still within the control range. Facing the mechanical giant, he was completely suppressed unilaterally, and the opponent hadn't used the ultimate trick to press the bottom of the box. Only a few attacks by common instantly reversed the situation on the field, and even Korn's destructive power was not so strong. Slanesh knew that it would be useless to summon more clones now, so he simply recalled the few clones that were still on the field, and merged the remaining clones into one, and this was Slanesh's body. The body of Slanesh swelled, and he summoned his exclusive weapon, the Blade of Desire. Holding double blades in his hand, Slanesh stared at the giant god Pengu, like a poisonous snake, looking for the prey's weakness, wanting to kill it with one blow. Oh, finally revealed the real body. Enough tricks have been played, it's time to let this battle come to an end. Qin Sheng was not afraid of Slanesh's attitude, and drove the Pengu giant to face it head-on, swinging his fists to attack Slanesh. Pengu god's fist collided with Slanesh's desire. The powerful force made Slanesh's arms tremble, but he didn't care about those things at the moment. After the attack handed over, he immediately dodged to Pengu god's side, using the desire blade to strike. However, Slanesh completely underestimated the Pengu giant, who had multiplied 10,000 times, and the attack of the evil god only left a scratch on the arm of the Pengu giant. He also tried to infiltrate the poison of desire on the Blade of Desire, wanting to use this to fall this mechanical giant, but it only made the opponent pause for a moment before it completely lost its effect. On the other hand, with an elbow from the giant god Pengu, Slanesh flew out directly, fell to the ground and lost his mobility. The evil god Slanesh was defeated. 77%. Chapter 373, Conquering Slanesh. Chapter 373, Conquering Slanesh. The evil god Slanesh transformed into the mechanical ancient god's fierce attack on the Pengu-cation, but he was defeated in the end. The evil god's arrogance was the biggest reason for his defeat. If he was given another chance, he would definitely not want to corrupt Qin Sheng, but killed the opponent directly, but unfortunately there is nothing if. I actually lost. How is this possible? Slanesh lay powerlessly on the ground. Losing to humans was an unacceptable result for him. Even the mighty spirit race had nothing to do with him, and he was defeated by others at home. There is no way. If you want to blame it, blame your self-righteousness, so what about the evil god? It's still going to be defeated by me. The giant god Pengu looked down from the heights, overlooking Shalan, and the whole space was filled with the voice of Qin Sheng, full of Qin Sheng's ridicule towards Selen. Naturally, Slaanesh could also feel the eyes of Qin Sheng sitting on the ancient god of machinery, the eyes of the high-ranking people overlooking the high-ranking ones, and he used to look at other lives in the same way, but now it is very uncomfortable to be treated like this by others. Slaanesh simply didn't say anything, closed his eyes, and lay there quietly waiting for his end. Seeing this, Qin Sheng directly manipulated the giant god Pan Ji Yu, and punched out again. He knew that the body of Slaanesh was actually false, and what really mattered was the group of spiritual energy protected by the body, which was the core of Slaanesh, where it cannot even be destroyed. Slaanesh's body was finally turned into powder under the fist of Pengu god, and when he took the fist away, only a ball of powdery red energy was left, which was the spiritual body of Mianqing. The evil gods were born from the depraved will of the spirit clan's power. They not only absorbed the negative energy of the spirit clan, but also absorbed the negative emotions from all over the universe. The evil god cannot be completely killed, but can only be sealed. The elders of the spirit clan also understand this, so they use their last bit of strength to create a subspace and seal the evil god. If it is not bound by the subspace, I am afraid that their strength will continue to expand, and no one can beat them. Even if they are inseparable from the subspace, they can still be able to believe in life and subvert the universe, which shows the horror of their strength. Fortunately, due to the subspace, the strength of the evil god still has an upper limit after all. Slaanesh can be regarded as the weakest of the evil gods, so he can be defeated by Qin Sheng in one fell swoop. This is also the reason why he chose to start with Slaanesh first. Seeing the appearance of Slaanesh's will body, Qin Sheng manipulated the giant god Pengu and took it with his hands, but he never thought that a figure would rush out and directly grab Slaanesh's will body and move towards the distant lair. Qin Sheng didn't expect that someone would snatch the will body of the evil god under his nose, and then release the space suppression force to suppress the opponent in one fell swoop. That person was actually Dasara, the 8th level demon under Slaanesh. Dasara originally planned that the battle between Slaanesh and Qin Sheng would be to hide and wait for an opportunity, but she didn't expect that the battlefield would change rapidly, and then it would end in a disastrous defeat for Slaanesh, so she planned to save Slaanesh and escape here. It will make a comeback in the future. It's just that she overestimated her own strength. Slaanesh was not even considered Qin Sheng's opponent, she was an 8th level demon, how could she have the ability to retreat completely? Not long after she shot, the powerful mental and spatial constraints bound her tightly. She knew that she couldn't escape, so she tightly protected Slaanesh's spiritual body in her arms. Even if her body was facing the end of collapse and death, she was unwilling to let go. I didn't expect that Slaanesh has harmed so many souls in this life, but there is still such an infatuated and loyal person. 11. Faced with such a situation, Qing Shi couldn't help but feel moved by Dasara's behavior. Dasara, she had a miserable life. She was betrayed by her family and given to the devil. Slaanesh saved her. Even though she knew that Slaanesh was a devil, she still threw herself into Slaanesh's embrace without hesitation, and she was willing to degenerate into Slaanesh, demon. Ramak suddenly appeared to explain Dasara's affairs to Qin Sheng. Slaanesh also loves this believer, but I take her with me everywhere I go. I have seen her many times at the meeting of demons. The two of them are ignorant of each other. They have even had friction with the evil god of corn. Dasara is what he valued, and he even did not hesitate to attack Dasara's hometown. Facing the powerful corn, Dasara's parents sent her away in exchange for a way out. Dasara, who had planned to die in battle, was met with treating her like this. Her heart is ashamed. At that time, it was really Slaanesh, spreading desire to collect believers, building up her own strength, just passing by and saving her, and she became the first perisher of Slaanesh. It is said that Slaanesh's it is also because of Dasara that she has always looked like a human being. So that's the case. I didn't expect such a story to exist. Hearing Ramak's explanation, Qin Sheng was also full of thoughts. He didn't expect that Slaanesh would have such a story, so he couldn't help weakening the restraint on Dasara. Dasara felt that her restraint had weakened, so she immediately dragged her broken body soaked in blood and crawled to the distance, trying to escape here with Slaanesh. I don't want to let you go, since you are so infatuated, then accept assimilation with Sei Lei. After Qin Sheng finished speaking, he manipulated the giant god Pan Ji Yu to grab it and firmly control it. Slaanesh, I didn't expect that you would have today. The spirit body of Slaanesh, who was bound, heard this voice and regained consciousness. 0. The previous battle was too much for this evil god, and even his body was smashed, which was a severe injury. It took a long time to recover before he became conscious. Staring at Qin Sheng in front of him, he scanned the surroundings again, and saw Dasara curled up next to him, covered in scars all over his body, and now he has lost consciousness. Slaanesh felt distressed immediately, and couldn't help roaring angrily. You damn human, why did you hurt her? You can't blame me, who made her so infatuated. In order to protect her highness, she sacrificed herself to save you from leaving. You must know that even you can't beat me, let alone her, an 8th level demon. If it weren't for me mercy, she has already been wiped out like those 8th level demons before. Qin Sheng said he was helpless, who knew that Dasara would overdo it. If she hadn't stopped in time, she would have died. Qin Sheng's words made Slaanesh fall into thinking. He didn't expect that Dasara would fight against Qin Sheng for himself. It seems that after a long time, if it wasn't because he was still a spiritual body, he might be able to see the struggle and pain on his face color. Let her go, Qin Sheng, you've already won, why bring her in again? Let him go. I didn't expect that you evil god would still beg for help. Qin Sheng was shocked when he heard Slaanesh's words. This was a possibility he had never thought of. The evil god would actually intercede for others, which shattered his 3 views. Yes, that's right, I surrender, please let Dasara you go. 78%. Chapter 374 Assimilation, the First Evil God. Chapter 374 Assimilation, the First Evil God. Although, I refuse. You, even if I let her go, where can she go? She is an 8th level demon. Let her turn to other evil gods to make a comeback. Then I can't do it. It's better to kill her directly and wipe out the roots. This bastard, I'm going to kill you. Hearing that the other party was going to kill Dasara, Slaanesh suddenly became furious, and the entire mental energy group became extremely unstable, causing the lights in the entire room to flicker, and the energy was extremely unstable. Listen to me. Qin Sheng gave Slaanesh a heavy blow, directly hitting the mental energy body to calm him down. Oh, you. Slaanesh stopped in pain. Qin Sheng pretended to cough lightly, cleared his throat, and looked serious. Cough. The evil god is also a person of temperament. Since you two are so infatuated with 870 inches, then I will reluctantly make it difficult for you to wish. What's the meaning? Dasara, until she fell into a coma, she held you tightly, refused to let go, and kept saying, don't separate me from the prince. Are you willing to leave her alone? Slaanesh remained silent. You will understand your future ending soon. But because you two are so infatuated, I will reluctantly accept you both. Ending. Take it all. Slaanesh didn't understand what Qin Sheng's words meant, and just wanted to continue talking. A mysterious force attacked the depths of his consciousness, interfering with his thoughts, and engraved an inescapable mark. At this moment, he understood everything, why he failed, and where the gap between himself and Qin Sheng was. He wanted to resist, but he couldn't move. Powerful. The power contained in Qin Sheng's body transcends the rules of the world, and it is not an exaggeration to say that it is the will of the universe. Is that so? Thinking of this, Slaanesh gave up his resistance and frankly chose to accept this power. Embrace your own evolution. Ironheart assimilation complete. Congratulations to the host for conquering Slaanesh, one of the evil gods of the subspace. Tzeentch, are you really going to block our way? In the sky of bliss, Khorne questioned Tzeentch. Although the 4 evil gods did not fight each other, but now that Slaanesh has been defeated, Khorne and Nurgle are naturally still unwilling to change the pattern of the subspace. It is impossible to really kill the other party. Of course, it also contains the purpose of wanting to annex the territory of Slaanesh. Tzeentch, turn around, a human being is not worthy of your help. If you look back, we will still treat you as a brother. The evil god Nurgle started with the compassion that embraces all things. Want to persuade Tzeentch to turn back. But Tzeentch is not an ordinary person, and naturally he also knows the little things in the hearts of the other 2 evil gods, and of course he doesn't bother to point them out. Go back. The end of Slaanesh has become settled. I can't let you pass here. HMPH, don't be arrogant. Last time it was in your territory, but this is not your territory. Khorne disdainfully said that he had never been afraid of anyone in a fight. If he hadn't been in Tzeentch's territory last time, don't know who wins or loses. Tzeentch, you are too arrogant, there will be no good end. Nurgle narrowed his eyes slightly, watching Tzeentch and began to calculate. If you want to break through, try it. It seems that I haven't made a move for a long time. Let you forget that the King of 10,000 Arts was so powerful. Tzeentch directly summoned the staff. The ancient incantations emerged because of his words, and all kinds of magic stars lingered around Qi. Okay, Very good. I don't know what drug that human being gave you to make you so willing to serve him. If you want to fight, then come. Seeing Zinch's posture, Korn was also the first to attack, and Nurgle also squinted his eyes, waiting for an opportunity. The battle of the three evil gods is imminent. Ironheart assimilation is over. Slaanesh pink spiritual energy sphere was absorbed by the silicon-based humanoid body that appeared out of thin air. The skin was like snow, highlighting a tenderness. And because Slaanesh was once the evil god of desire, this led to extremely bold dressing after transformation, full of temptation. Is this my new attitude? The color is opened, so that people will sink into deep purple eyes after a few more glances, and the long purple hair, a little bit of posture, also has a sense of intellectual beauty. Quantifying the changes in himself, he stared at Qin Sheng closely, his eyes full of complexity, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Cthulhu humanoid girl. Lust. Race. Silicon-based biotactical humanoid. Body length. 180 centimeters. Occupation. God leader. Skills. Fantasy clone can create unlimited clones, can absorb the energy of hostile attacks in battle, and further transform and increase the number of clones. The higher the quality of the clone object, the more energy it needs. Sinking palace. A palace full of temptation, with 6 torture palaces of greed, appetite, lust, laziness, power, and vanity, examining the inner desires of visitors. Very good. Faced with the successful transformation of the evil god, the park nodded in satisfaction. System warning. Since the evil god itself is the incarnation of desire and has extraordinary strength, although it is affected by the assimilation of the Iron Heart, it is extremely loyal to the host and will not endanger life, but excessive desire may break free from the suppression of the assimilation of the Iron Heart. Please be careful. Response. Quote. There was a big question mark in Qin Sheng's head, and it was the first time he received a warning from the system. Is the assimilation of evil gods so terrifying that even the system can't completely suppress it? My lord the emperor. Qin Sheng couldn't help but trembled in that charming voice. Seeing that CQ rushed forward and hugged Qin Sheng tightly, it was difficult to break free for a while. Of course, this is also the case. After waiting for the end of Qin Sheng's intimate assimilation to Desera, he couldn't wait to rush forward. Only now did Qin Sheng understand what the system's warning meant. Slaanesh's desire was too terrifying. However, Desara 3.5's Iron Heart assimilation is different from that of lust. After the assimilation of the whole person is over, the snake body and the strange 6 arms disappear. Gold long hair, coupled with the same white skin Shungshe, the whole person exudes a holy breath. Perhaps it was originally a battle-hardened look, but it looked like a Valkyrie. But because of the serious injury, she woke up after resting for a long time, but now she was in a daze, completely taken away by the appearance in front of her eyes. Surprised, he was pulled over by CQ and joined in this crazy scene, which was hard for Qin Sheng, and another one came when one was not enough. Fortunately, Elise and Ilya arrived in time to stop the lust, and Qin Sheng was released from the pain. 78%. Chapter 375. Difficult Semiao. Chapter 375. Difficult Semiao. Fortunately, it was still inside the Pengucation, which allowed Qin Sheng to be saved. But sitting in the driver's seat now, he still keeps rubbing his waist. It's too painful. This pain makes Qin Sheng regret that the first one to accept and transform was Sei Miao. Once the other party's desire explodes, his body can't bear it. She made a fuss about it. At this moment, Semu was tied up by Elise and Ilya, and was trapped beside him to repent. Desara was on the sidelines. Although she had experienced some crazy behavior in a days before, when she learned that Sei Miao was once His Royal Highness Prince, even though she has now become Her Majesty Princess, she herself was also captured by Qin Sheng just like Sei Miao. Transformed, but didn't complain at all. Instead, he was full of gratitude to Qin Sheng, and being able to continue to stay with the people he cared about was also a complete surrender to Qin Sheng. Thank you, Yinji. She hugged Sei Miao all the time for fear that someone would separate them. After all, Her Royal Highness is the most important thing in her heart, and even the assimilation of Iron Heart can't change it. Even Qin Sheng can't do anything about it. She can't help but sigh. Truly, even the assimilation of 28 Iron Hearts can surpass the emotions. Of course, Qin Sheng is not worried. Desara will betray him. After all, Semu's attention is all on him, and his eyes are full of desire to eat him. As long as Semiao will not betray him, Desara will be the same won't. Besides, although Tai Shin's assimilation can't interfere with the subjective behavior of the two of them, it will indeed affect the two of them and will not do any harm to themselves. Elf tactical figure. Dasara. Race. Silicon-based creature, tactical humanoid. Body length. 178 centimeters. Occupation. Tactician. Passive skills. Dominion strengthening battlefield analysis can greatly boost the morale of one's own side, improve the combat capability of troops, and can quickly find solutions and find breakthrough strategies in the face of the ever-changing battlefield environment. Not bad. Dasara is indeed a very good talent, so Qin Sheng did not regret accepting her. It is no wonder that he would rather die than submit to Korn. Only Slaanesh managed to subdue her, and Slaanesh also took advantage of her betrayed by others, go to the depths of the heart, will follow so wholeheartedly, and will never leave. Including Sei Miao also has a very strong auxiliary ability. Although it hurts my body a bit, such a talent is worth it. But now the most important thing is to get out of this Slaanesh palace. Even though I have subdued Slaanesh and turned into Slaanesh, I still can't get out of this space. After entering the palace of Slaanesh, he was still unable to escape and became a slave to desire. Semu, do you have a way to get out of this space? Qin Sheng motioned Elise to untie the restraint on Slaanesh's mouth, and asked for a solution. But Sei Miao kept staring at Qin Sheng with a smirk, thinking how to make Qin Sheng sink. Seeing that Qin Sheng felt hairy in his heart, he couldn't help shivering. Seeing this, Elise tapped Semu on the head with a blackboard, which brought her back to her senses. Yes, I won't tell you. Unless His Excellency the Emperor unties me and stays with me all night. Sei Miao stared at Qin Sheng playfully, shook his body to signal for him to untie the restraint, and made a request. No, absolutely not. You are the Emperor's body, absolutely not, that belongs to my sister. Before Qin Sheng could speak, Ilya objected first. Qin Sheng heard the words, expressed his agreement, nodded repeatedly, and felt something was wrong when he came back to his senses, shaking his head like a wave drum, expressing his opposition. Elise couldn't help but blush when she heard her younger sister's bold speech. After all, she was more or less looking forward to those things. After all, sometimes listening to several seniors discussing those things in private, she was very envious. No, forget it, everyone will stay here. Sei Miao turned her face away, pretending to be angry, but still secretly squinted at Qin Sheng, expecting the other party's reply. Qin Sheng could naturally feel the gaze, so he could only cough lightly and objected. Cough, no, I can't stand your desire, let's talk about it when you can control it. No, then forget it, I don't think there is anything wrong with staying here. Anyway, here is no different from home. Sei Miao turned his head away completely after speaking, and raised it high, like a victorious rooster showing off his might. Panji Yukation's giant god posture has already turned back into a giant ship due to exhaustion of energy. It is impossible for them to break Slaanesh's palace by themselves, and they still have to solve it by themselves in the end. Qin Sheng was annoyed when he saw Slaanesh. This tactical figure is not very obedient, but there is nothing he can do about it. Semu is transformed from an evil god and has a strong sense of self-subjectivity. Break this space directly. In desperation, Qin Sheng tried to persuade Sei Miao, but the other party refused to let go. Instead, he disliked Qin Sheng's long-winded words and threatened him. Since His Majesty the Emperor is unwilling to agree to the small requests of slaves, I have no choice but to increase the price and stay with me for 3 nights. I will continue to increase the amount of nonsense. Why are you still going up? 1 night and 1 night. Now Qin Sheng was completely impatient, and agreed to Sei Miao's initial request. 3 nights, I can't do without it. It would be nice if His Excellency the Emperor agreed earlier. It's too late now. No, absolutely not. You're going to die. Qin Sheng categorically refused. I'll be very gentle, Semu said with coyness in the temptation. That's not okay. 5. Seeing that the other party is not willing to give in, Sei Miao simply prepares to raise the 833 condition again. 3 nights, you're ruthless. Seeing that Sei Miao still wanted to go up, Qin Sheng could only agree to the other party. My Lord Emperor, it's better for everyone if you agree earlier. Seeing her victory, Sei Miao smiled like a flower in an instant, flattering the dead. Untie it, my lord, is this really good? Elise asked, looking at Semu's appearance. Untie it, the important thing now is to go out, besides, she will be considered your sister in the future, although there is a problem with her personality, it doesn't look good if she is tied all the time. Qin Sheng waved his hands helplessly, feeling like weeping, and began to regret why he had to subdue Slaanesh first. That's right, let go quickly. All right, now that Qin Sheng said so, Elise had no choice but to untie Semu. Seeing that there was no restraint, Sei Miao immediately jumped into Qin Sheng's arms, sniffing his scent. My lord, Qin Sheng, since this is the path you chose, even if you cry, you have to finish the journey in tears. After all, we still have a long time. Samuel laughed again. Qin Sheng regretted subduing her even more. At this moment, he could only cover his face with his hands and weep to comfort his heart and body. Pain, because it hurts. 78%. Chapter 376. Changes in Paradise. Chapter 376. Changes in Paradise. As a newborn body of Slaanesh, Semu inherited everything as a matter of course, including Slaanesh's fallen palace. With Qin Sheng's compromise and dedication, Sei Miao opened a space crack in the spiritual space that traps them, and they can go out through this crack. Qin Sheng immediately rushed in with the Pengucation. The process of getting out was extremely long. Qin Sheng not only had to be disturbed from the spiritual space, but also had to suffer physical torture from Sei Miao. When the Pengucation came to the top of the paradise of paradise, Qin Sheng felt as if he was not himself, neither in spirit nor in body. After a long period of self-adjustment, Qin Sheng slowly recovered, and realized later that he did not receive system rewards for subduing Sei Miao this time. Usually, no matter whether it is defeating enemies or subduing them, there are rewards issued by the system. Give yourself, is there a bug in the system? I hurriedly called up the system panel to check, only to find out the task given by the system: subdue the 2 evil gods, unlock some technologies of the 10th level civilization, subdue all the evil gods, and unlock all the technologies of the 10th level civilization. After learning the details, Qin Sheng was speechless. 1 was not enough and he had to subdue 2. For the first time, he felt that the system was a bit black-hearted. But then again, the 10th level civilization is considered the culmination and end of civilization, otherwise the unlocking conditions cannot be so harsh, and after unlocking all of them, you can completely dominate this sea of stars. At that time, it is impossible for someone to be your own. The opponent couldn't help but look forward to the day when the 10th level of civilization will be unlocked. Putting his thoughts back to reality, Qin Sheng planned to transform the blissful heaven first, increase his own territory, and then plan to subdue the other 3 evil gods. Zinch was the first choice, and the alliance was already reached, and a little more fuel would be enough to succeed. Korn and Nurgle are hard to say, they are probably 2 hard bones, and a tough battle cannot be avoided. When Qin Sheng entered the sinking palace, the 4th floor was going to find Anka Bilu to promote future cooperation, and was going to push him to the apex of power in blissful heaven to help him further transform the territory. The tough battle depends on her, and Sei Miao is unlikely to continue to rule. Her goal is to eat Qin Sheng. But after one party searched, not only did Anka Bilu not find it, but he didn't see any big demons along the way, and he entered the upper 3 floors with the same result. Qin Sheng recalled the creatures swallowed by the 6 palaces of the spiritual space, as well as the casualties caused during the battle. Wouldn't it be useless to subdue the territory I worked so hard to conquer? The reason why I took action against Ji Lishan first was to target these demons. The transformation is not deep, and it can be used by myself, and it can also increase a wave of faith. Thinking of this, Qin Sheng became annoyed, regretted not being able to rescue them, regretted not being merciful, the effort was wasted, and the whole person became completely depressed. Progress increased to 50%. At this time, Sei Miao, accompanied by Desera, walked to the palace where Qin Sheng lived. The 2 of them took a stroll to see the home they had lived in for an unknown number of years. They belong to Qin Sheng this time. It is estimated that I will not come back here in the future. Seeing Qin Sheng annoyed in the distance, stomping his feet angrily, Sei Miao laughed like silver bells again. My lord, why are you so angry? Hearing this burst of laughter, Qin Sheng naturally knew that Sei Miao was coming, and immediately vented his anger on Sei Miao. It's not a good thing you did. Sei Miao, I don't understand what the emperor is talking about. Sei Miao looked puzzled, not knowing what happened. This huge palace, because of you, there is no soul. You don't want to escape your responsibility just because you changed your appearance. Oh, it turns out that His Majesty the Emperor is talking about this matter, but when he ruled the palace, His Majesty's killings were less than mine. At that time, there was no way, they all attacked me, they were my enemies. But the Emperor should be clear about who your target is. The moment you get back your power, those low-level demons are no threat at all, but you still haven't stopped your subordinates from being wiped out because of anger. Besides, all those people I met were just swallowed up by my endless greed, and I am afraid that these things should not be confused. This, Qin Sheng, who Sei Miao said in a few words, was speechless. The evil god was already well informed, so Qin Sheng naturally couldn't get much benefit from words, but instead made himself look embarrassed and blush. Seeing his funny appearance, Sei Miao chuckled. My lord, no kidding, since you want to see them, then let you see them. Really, the sudden change made Qin Sheng excited. The lives in Slaanesh will not die, they will only repeat their desires and provide power to the former evil god Slaanesh. Slaanesh only wants their desires, not their lives. Then let them out. I have one condition. Qin Sheng, who was originally happy, suddenly felt bad when he heard that Sei Miao proposed another condition. Sei Miao also walked up to Qin Sheng and whispered something in his ear. I hope His Excellency the Emperor can spend more time with my family. After all, you have endowed me with a true soul. After talking, she giggled and dragged Dasara to the distance, leaving Qin Sheng alone in place. We are going back to the battleship first. I hope the Emperor will see those humans who have returned to their original state and tell them that Slaanesh is dead. Let them build a new country on this land and live on. After all, their homeland has long been wiped out. In the river of time. What does Qin Shengming White Miao mean? The believers of Slaanesh come from different eras. They live forever, Qian Hao, with Slaanesh's eternal life. Now that Slaanesh is dead, they will also stay in this era and continue in a time of stagnation. Family, friends, and hometown are long gone. This is also the difference between Semu and Slaanesh. During the process of transformation, Semu has his own soul, but Slaanesh does not have only endless desires to motivate him to act. This is what Qin Sheng learned during the few nights with Semu. Not long after Sei Miao left, Qin Sheng felt the ground under his feet tremble, and a strange light shrouded it for a few days. Qin Sheng could feel that it was the light assimilated by Ironheart, but the difference was that it was not activated by him. It was Semu who launched the light of transformation similar to the assimilation of the Ironheart, and she wanted to release the believers trapped in the cage of Slaanesh's desire. Even Qin Sheng may not be able to achieve the large-scale transformation of the group. He is all a single transformation, and the group needs systematic power to assist. Is this the means of the gods? 78%. Chapter 377, Paradise. Chapter 377. The light of transformation cast by Semu is over, and the sinking palace, which was originally full of pinkness and desire and obsession, turns into a peaceful common palace. Qin Sheng noticed that there were many more creatures around, and the demons of Slaanesh had become what they were before they fell. There were elves, dwarves, and humans, including many ancient creatures that Qin Sheng had never seen before. The many types of creatures made Qin Sheng feel the long history of Slaanesh's palace, and of course he also felt sad for these creatures. For them, without Slaanesh, the test is the real beginning. The fusion of many different races, in this environment survive in the complex subspace. Qin Sheng searched in the crowd for a long time before finding Enka Bilu. Unlike him in the demon period, Enka Bilu is now a human and has a faint royal temperament. It is estimated that before the fall of the devil, he was probably the ruler of a territory in the Middle Ages. Although he was a bit greedy for money, but the above temperament is in the past, and it is convenient to maintain the bliss of change. Hey, wake up, Enka Bilu, wake up. Qin Sheng woke up Enka Bilu from his deep sleep after a long wake-up operation. He looked at the person in front of him with some doubts. My lord, where is this? I was catching a golden pig, and it disappeared as soon as I hugged it, and then I saw you. Take a good look around you, where is this? 627 Qin Sheng was speechless when he heard Enka Bilu's confused words. Enka Blind Lu heard the words, scanned a group of surroundings, and then looked at himself before reacting. My lord, is Slaanesh dead? Yes, the evil god Slaanesh is dead, completely wiped out by me. So we're out of his control. Great, great. Hearing the news that the evil god had been eliminated, Enka Bilu danced excitedly and laughed loudly. Don't be too happy. Hurry up and find a way to solve the current problem. What's the problem? Enka Bilu was puzzled. It's not enough for the evil god to be eliminated. Qin Sheng pointed to the lives of various races that were still sleeping on the ground, and said, you all come from different eras, and your homeland may have disappeared long ago, and you can't go back. And without that layer of demon coat, Different races are afraid as for the impending collapse, quickly find a way to organize it so that the entire paradise will not become chaotic. I know, my subordinates will do it now. Qin Sheng's words made Enkabilu realize the seriousness of the problem. Yes, Slaanesh is a demon, and he can still be stable. Slaanesh is not here. All the coats have been taken off, and if they are not managed well, the disputes may resume. Immediately, Enkabilu faced a few humans of his age who were lying not far away, and with a burst of punches, pulled them out of their dreams, and immediately got busy. Sure enough, as Qin Sheng expected, when all beings gradually wake up from deep sleep, they are excited at first, happy that they have escaped from the control of Slaanesh, but then panic, homeless, and all kinds of different things around them. Many people thought of committing suicide and left this strange place. There are also many creatures who want to be kings and hegemony and enslave other races because of the strength of their own race. There are also weak races who voluntarily degenerate into demons, do not believe in the news of Slaanesh's death, and keep praying for the evil spirit to come closer. The whole blissful heaven was in a mess. Fortunately, Qin Sheng made timely arrangements, and Enkabilu himself was also very capable. He summoned a large number of people in a short period of time, contacted the leaders of various ethnic groups, and stabilized the situation from top to bottom. In less than half a month, he completely controlled the entire blissful heaven, encouraged those who committed suicide and wanted to commit suicide, suppressed the powerful creatures who wanted to enslave other people with the help of Qin Sheng, and persuaded the remaining believers of Slaanesh. Convene a blissful meeting, and explain Qin Sheng, that is, the emperor's feat of destroying Slaanesh epic, bluntly saying that the return of freedom is hard-won, unite everyone, and establish a country on this land that allows all races to live. In this way, with the secret help of Qin Sheng, a country of multiracial integration was born in the paradise of paradise, named Elysium, and a statue of Qin Sheng was erected, and Qin Sheng was believed to be his true god, dependent country. With this SIB operation, Qin Sheng has completely subdued blissful heaven, and also allowed his progress in the title of Master of the Universe to completely increase to 50%. That's it. We plan to place these medieval creatures in this vacant area. Otherwise, with their huge bodies and other races, it will inevitably cause problems to live together. The environment in this area is also good, and there is no need to worry about not being able to survive. Enkabilu reported the situation to Qin Sheng and waited for the other party's decision-making. With Qin Sheng's back, he naturally became the CEO of Elysium. I know, I will take care of it. After these giant medieval creatures are settled, you don't need to come to me again unless there are major events. The kingdom of Elysium can run on its own. Yes, Your Excellency the Emperor. Enkabilu nodded. Qin Sheng wanted to completely hand over the entire kingdom of paradise to himself. Just when Enkabilu was about to exit Qin Sheng's palace, he saw a figure suddenly appearing and whispering something in his ear. Enkabilu glanced at it and felt like he had entered a quagmire, surrounded by endless desire package. He shook his head quickly, trying to wake himself up. Enkabilu retreated with lingering fear. The person was none other than Slaanesh. Even though he had changed his appearance, he could still recognize him. But looking at the intimacy between her and Qin Sheng, it is estimated that she has been subdued by the other party. Enkabilu doesn't want to know too much about the above things, and it is enough for her to be free. After Qin Sheng solved the placement problem of the ancient creatures in the paradise of paradise, he immediately returned to the Pengucation because there were guests. In the weaving of fate, Carlos came to the Pengucation. Carlos, what are you doing here? Lord Qin Sheng, life is really colorful. After subduing the god of Slaanesh, he was indulging in family happiness and forgot the agreement with my lord. Carlos faced Qin Shengzai, directly taunted him, and fired with full firepower. What nonsense are you talking about? I've been so busy with the affairs of Elysium recently, I'm still wondering where Zinch went. Why didn't he help me when I was fighting Slaanesh? You have the nerve to say, if my lord didn't stop me, do you think you can subdue Bliss so safely? Oh, what happened? Now it's Qin Sheng's turn to be curious. After seeing Zinch in the mental space, he didn't know where the other party went. There was no news for such a long time. My lord, because of your battle with the two gods of Korn and Nurgle, you were seriously injured, and you have been recuperating for a long time. Thinking of Zinch getting hurt because of Qin Sheng, Carlos felt a little annoyed. It wasn't worth it. Now order me to come to you, because I am a guest in the Crystal Labyrinth. Is Zinch injured? 78%. Chapter 378 Zinch's invitation to visit the Crystal Maze. Chapter 378 Zinch's invitation, visiting the Crystal Maze. Zinch was injured. What a shocking news. Qin Sheng never thought of it. Yes, for you, my lord fought against Korn and Nurgle alone, tried his best, defeated the two evil gods, and bought you so long, but he himself was poached. If the original power hadn't been given up in time to control it, I'm afraid it would have been swallowed up by Korn and others at this moment, and disappeared in this family. Qin Sheng never thought that Zinch would be so desperate, and now even the source is lost. I am afraid it is in danger. The evil gods are essentially immortal. They are the embodiment of desire. As long as there is still desire in the world, then they can always exist. But it will be swallowed by other evil gods. The four original powers maintain this balance. The original source is also the source of the evil god's power. Losing it will not only weaken it, but also face the risk of being swallowed by other evil gods. This is also the reason why Korn would fight against Zinch regardless of the consequences, even if there was only a sliver of original power back then, delaying time and wanting to get Zinch's original power. Now that Zinch has lost all of his original power, even though he defeated Korn and Nurgle, he is afraid that the opponent will make a comeback at any time. As long as he can swallow Zinch, he can gain infinite wisdom and double his strength increase. My lord, I sacrificed myself for you, but you didn't know anything. That's why I sent me to find you and invite you to visit the Crystal Labyrinth. Seeing that Qin Sheng didn't respond, Carlos continued to sneer, but he didn't expect the other party to grab his beak directly. Don't talk about it, take me to count the change of the sky. Carlos was stunned by the sudden change, and nodded immediately. Even if you still have a little conscience, let's go. Qin Sheng immediately drove the Pengucation to Swanbiantian. On the way, I passed the place where Zinch and Nurgle Korn fought. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I'm afraid it would be really hard to imagine how terrifying the battle between evil gods would be. It's not a pediatric level fight like myself and Slaanesh at all. The degree of chaos in the entire space is no less than that of destroying heaven. Zinch's black magic, Korn's murderous aura, and Nurgle's plague virus are enough. Simply destroying a level 8 civilization, the three majestic forces not only restore the interference space to its original state, but also keep colliding together, from time to time to produce small black holes. If it were to enter with the attitude of the battleship Pengucation, it would be directly torn into pieces by this force, and it might only be difficult to move forward in the attitude of the giant god. The means of the three ancient evil gods are really not comparable to those who were born late like Slaanesh. Facing this dangerous space, Qin Sheng could only choose to take a detour. It is different from the depression after the massacre with the net. At this moment, it has recovered. It is full of psychedelic in the past. If you enter it normally, it may be difficult to find a way out, and you will be trapped in it to death. The corpses of those Korn demons on the road are the best proof. Korn also relied on a large number of people to break through the psychedelic formation and destroy the eyes of the formation before finding the Crystal Labyrinth. Looking at the corpse, Qin Sheng couldn't help sighing. If it wasn't for Carlos to guide him, otherwise it would take a long time to find the crystal maze by himself. Finally, with the help of Carlos, Qin Sheng and others came to the Crystal Labyrinth. Originally, Qin Sheng planned to drive in the Pengucation, but the battleship was still too huge for the crystal maze to hold, so he let the other people stay behind on the Pengucation, and followed Carlos into the Crystal Labyrinth. No, Your Excellency, it's still too dangerous to be alone. Elise was the first to object. At least one person must be brought in with me. Ilya answered the question and made an opinion. Among them, the most powerful and the best candidate is naturally Yuan Xie Shensei Miao, who has just joined. I won't go. Semu was extremely resistant to the Crystal Labyrinth, and immediately expressed his objection. If you don't go, who will? Ilya had a lot of opinions on Semu, and quarreled with Semu within a few words. Okay, stop arguing. It's enough for me to go alone. Sei Miao needs to stay on the Pengucation to deal with emergencies. She is the only one who can control the posture of God besides me. But, Elise still wanted to say something. Don't worry, nothing will happen. Since the other party is willing to be some Korn Nurgle for us, they will naturally treat us as allies and will not harm us. If I am still timid, I am a little sorry. Rot, Qin Sheng explained with a smile, and gave some other instructions. I can also feel that there is something wrong with Biantian. I am afraid that the army of Korn and Nurgle has already marched in. This is why you stay outside. You must guard here. Yes, Elise and Ilya responded in unison. The ship is in your hands. Don't worry, they will be fine. Sei Miao replied. You really dare to go alone? Carlos couldn't help complaining when he saw Qin Sheng coming alone. You guys won't hurt me, so I have nothing to fear. Qin Sheng waved his hand, expressing his indifference. Then let's go. Seeing the other party's appearance, Carlos walked directly into the crystal maze. Tzeentch is worthy of being the god of change and master of sorcery. His domain is filled with pure magical power, and even treachery and conspiracy are also woven into it. This was Qin Sheng's only thought after stepping into the crystal labyrinth. There is no need for any guards here at all. Its hallucination passage alone is enough to stop most intruders. The gleaming corridor not only reflects light, but also reflects the hope, pain, beauty and nightmare, and can distort these things, interfering with the thoughts of any intruders, turning goals and ambitions into madness and despair. The entire labyrinth is planned and controlled by Tzeentch, constantly moving and reorganizing. Every winding path, turning and dead end is the whim of its owner for a moment. It can be broken instantly and extended without limit. With Qi's permission, I'm afraid no one will be able to export it. But it's different now. Looking at the flickering maze barriers, Qin Sheng can also see that Zheng Qi's injury is too serious, and he can't continue to maintain this maze, but he still insists on it. I'm afraid he also knows the fate of Korn and Nurgle. People are coming. Under the leadership of Carlos, after several twists and turns, they finally reached the exit of the reflection corridor, but when the two were about to pass through, a figure appeared and blocked their way. Cha Zan Ake, what are you doing here if you don't lead the army to meet the enemy? Carlos asked directly when he saw the man's appearance. Enemy, isn't the person behind you also our enemy? 79%. Chapter 379. Against Cha Zan Ake. Chapter 379 Against Cha Zan Ake. He is also our enemy. Facing Carlos' questioning, Cha Zan Ake pointed his sword at Qin Sheng and said, He is my lord's guest, you must not be rude. Carlos faced Cha Zan Ake's sword and blocked Qin Sheng directly. But he killed our colleague, Sassoril, because he fought an unnecessary war for 10 years. It is also because of him that our lord ended up like this. Because of him, we will also be killed by the army of Korn and Nurgle, devoured. Cha Zan Ake's whole body was shaken, and he released a monstrous killing intent, as if he was about to strike. Everything started because of him. He is not an enemy. You want to watch my lord die because of your delay. Carlos started to get anxious when he saw the opponent's gesture of making a move. Kill him, take away the original power, and still be able to defeat my lord. After finishing speaking, Cha Zan Ake burst out, swung the sword in his hand, and slashed at Qin Sheng. Carlos saw that he really made a move, pushed Qin Sheng away, and fought with Suo Zan Ake with a staff. Qin Sheng didn't expect to be in such a situation. The 8th level demon had a lot of opinions on him. Knowing that Tzeentch himself came to him, he dared to do it, so he summoned the nano armor to wait for the opportunity. In this crystal maze, the big devil's figure was severely restrained, otherwise, with his real body, he would have to rely on battleships to fight the opponent in order to narrow the gap between them. Carlos and Cha Zan Ake fought less than 2 rounds before losing the battle. He was kicked aside by Cha Zan Ake and lost his mobility. The gap between the 7th and 8th levels was still too large. Seeing this, Cha Zan Ake didn't bother, and rushed towards Qin Sheng again with his sword. Qin Sheng also summoned an alloy sword to attack. When the two swords were joined together, Qin Sheng could only feel his arms being numb by the powerful impact. If it wasn't for the enhanced nano armor, he would have flown out long ago, even though his body has been strengthened by the system. How many times, but still not as powerful as the devil. Everything started because of you. This is an inevitable ending. From the moment Tzeentch stared at me, this ending has already been doomed. If I don't calculate, you will die in the end. Then you have to accept your fate of death. It's a joke, why must I accept it? I also have the right to resist. Although Qin Sheng was at a disadvantage at the beginning, as time went on, he gradually became able to adapt to the rhythm of Cha Zan Ake's swordsmanship. Anbelia and the others learned AI for a powerful battle, in order to prepare for such a close combat one day. Cha Zan Ake naturally also noticed the change in Qin Sheng, and his attack was suppressed by a human being. After such a long battle, he didn't get any benefit. He immediately exploded with power, knocking Qin Sheng back a few meters, chanting an obscure incantation. Simple and unsophisticated words emerged around him, and mysterious elemental power condensed around Cha Zan Ake. Be careful, he is a magic swordsman. Carlo reminded Qin Sheng immediately upon seeing this. As the name suggests, the magic swordsman not only possesses powerful swordsmanship, but also masters powerful black magic. Cha Zanaque was also recognized by Zinch because of his powerful strength in both magic and martial arts. He has always personally taught him black magic. The real first person under the evil god in the space, his strength did not make Korn weak in the first place. Qin Sheng didn't dare to be careless at this moment, and repeatedly dodged Cha Zanaque's several magic attacks. Launching his own space-suppressing power, this is the skill he obtained from subduing Elise. Even if he is not driving a battleship, he can also use it, but the effect is not as powerful as when he is driving a battleship. Cha Zanaque naturally dismissed the force on his body. He was too weak, and he could break free with a little force, which aggravated the release of black magic. Qin Sheng saw that his space-suppressing force didn't work, so he quickly released the technological energy shield to defend. Facing the torrent of magic, the energy shield was directly broken and hit the nano armor directly. Although Qin Sheng withstood this wave of attack, the nano armor had been corroded badly. Qin Sheng felt the burning sensation brought by the black magic on his body. It is still impossible to fight against the enemy without a battleship. It is too disadvantageous to face the 8th level monster by himself. What should we do now? Get out of the way. Just as Qin Sheng was still thinking about countermeasures, Carlos hurriedly yelled to remind him. Cha Zanaque's second wave of magic torrent has arrived, and there is no possibility of dodging in the face of such an attack. Are I really going to die here? The feeling of death shrouded Qin Sheng's body. Of course, at this moment, a strange light descended on Qin Sheng's body, blocking the torrent of magic for Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng only felt that his whole body was full of power, the power of the plane, the power of space. This is the power that can only be released when he is driving a battleship, and he can use it now. How is this possible? Faced with such a change, Cha Zanaque looked shocked. Obviously he was about to succeed. Immediately, a powerful force from the plane hit him, which directly shattered his armor, and pressed him to the ground, unable to move. It seems that I am stronger now. Qin Sheng's eyes are filled with unknown light, manipulating the power of the plane. This is the support that Semu sent over when she sensed that she was in danger. With the attributes of her god, she can easily achieve this kind of cross-space support. It's impossible. How could you have such power? Being pressed to the ground and unable to move, Cha Zanaque lost the confidence he had just now, his whole face twisted, and he roared unwillingly. Since you are determined to kill me at 3.9, then I won't be polite. The other party really angered Qin Sheng. If it wasn't for Say Meow, he would have really overturned and died. Qin Sheng increased the release of the power of the plane again, wanting to crush Cha Zanaque directly. Qin Sheng, stop, cough. Zinch suddenly spoke, and his voice resounded throughout the crystal labyrinth. Of course, his coughing also proved that he was in a very bad state at the moment. Praise Ake, your behavior has crossed the line. Go out and lead the army against Korn and Nurgle. Seeing Zinch's words, although Qin Sheng was angry, he couldn't say anything. After all, Zinch had helped him a lot, and it was right to give him some face. Yes, Cha Zanaque got up in disgrace, cast a resentful glance at Qin Sheng, and left. Qin Sheng, come in. 79%. Chapter 380. The Inheritor of the Will of the Universe. Chapter 380. The Inheritor of the Will of the Universe. Qin Sheng came to the center of the maze, where the majestic impossible fortress stands, and the pink and blue flames from the core inside the fortress twist and spew out from the twin spears and towers. But in the blink of an eye, this fortress disappeared, followed by a more magnificent building, but every part of this building revealed madness and distortion. All the entrances suddenly opened, like a hungry mouth, trying to devour what, the next moment it all closed, becoming seamless and unbreakable. Mortals come here and want to enter the interior. Faced with such a changing fortress, they will be obsessed with physical solutions, and will eventually be driven to madness and lose their senses. Carlos' voice sounded behind Qin Sheng, and now he has recovered. Qin Sheng answered, impossible fortress. Is this also the reason why Korn didn't dare to come in? Every part of the crystal labyrinth is filled with the majestic wisdom of our Lord. The structure here is based on the characteristics of chaos. There is no time and space. Everything changes with the change of my Lord's thoughts. As long as my Lord, anyone who is willing to let Korn in will be trapped in it, unless he is willing to use all his strength to forcefully break through. Yeah, Qin Sheng nodded. Probably the tyrannical evil god Korn. That kind of destructive power can break through the Zinch maze, but even if it can break through the whole person, it won't be much better. I'll take you in. Carlos fumbled around for a while, and then chanted and cast spells again, which stopped the unpredictable and impossible fortress, and opened a door leading to the inner core. Looking at this cumbersome process, Qin Sheng thought that if Zinch was in a normal state, he would be able to open the entrance with a movement of his divine sense, or bring himself directly to his side. I'm afraid the state is already dying. The inner chamber of the impossible fortress, here is Zinch's secret library. Qin Sheng found that what cannot help but preserve is not only knowledge, but also the thoughts of many living beings, not only from the past era, but also living in the world today, including scholars, politicians, rich people, etc. There is no doubt that each of them has it as the core level of a civilization, and as long as Zinch is willing to stir up their civilization, it can further spread to the entire universe. This is probably the reason why the universe fell in the previous life, but Zinch did not do so in this life. I'm afraid it's because of myself. I also saw Qin Sheng coming in, and the originally noisy library instantly quieted down. There are many blue and pink horrors here, constantly discussing and researching, arguing and recording. Liao am I who seeks wisdom. Go in, my lord is there. Carlos pointed to a door standing in the center of the library, which led to a strange space, and that space was where Zinch was located. Qin Sheng didn't talk nonsense, went straight forward, opened the door of mystery, and walked into the mysterious light behind the door. When Qin Sheng opened his eyes again, he felt that he was in nothingness. It was pitch black, without a ray of light. Zinch, where are you? Qin Sheng waited for a long time, but when there was no change, he called Zinch directly. You are finally here, Zinch replied weakly. Only then did the entire space shine brightly. Qin Sheng swept the surroundings and was shocked. This is a universe outside the subspace. Many galaxies, planets, and civilizations are distributed in every part of this strange space. No more. This is Zinch's supernatural power. No matter what changes outside, he will be aware of it. I was born out of the wisdom of the Eldar. Some people call me despair, but others call me hope. Everything in this universe cannot escape my sight. The fate of all living beings is under my control. Only then did Qin Sheng come back to his senses, and saw Zinch's hunched back in the space, and when he walked into it, he found that half of his body had long since disappeared, the wound was full of Korn's killing breath, and the other side was full of pustules, the cracks are constantly bursting out, and the disgusting liquid is oozing out. This is probably the method of Nurgle. Any level 8 monster would have died long ago in the face of such an injury, but Zinch can persist until now, which shows that the evil god is extraordinary. Is it worth it for you? Seeing this miserable state, Qin Sheng couldn't help but feel uncomfortable. Qin Sheng, you are the first life that I can't see through, not only because you are a reincarnation, but also because of the terrifying will behind you. I have tried to study and peep, but what? I didn't find any. So I chose to wait and see after the initial negotiation, but you subdued Slanesh, so I saw hope. Hope, yes, it's worth my betting hope. The old man of the Eldar only thought that we would destroy this world, but he didn't think about why we were born. They couldn't detect that kind of invisible great will. It relied on the ruthlessness of the Eldar. Hope, joy, and despair make us what we are, and you have that will in you. Qin Sheng never thought about this point. The 4 evil gods were created on purpose, and that kind of power is actually the same as his own system, so what is it that creates the evil gods? Of course we want us to maintain this world. Zinch saw through Qin Sheng's thoughts. Maintaining this world, how is this possible? Your existence will only devour all life and pull everything into the abyss. Qin Sheng immediately objected. In his previous life, he witnessed the evil god destroying the entire universe with his own eyes, and he was also resisting the evil god. In the process, he died in battle, and now tell him that the evil god maintains the existence of the universe, who can believe it? Indeed, according to the original ending, the ending of all things is destruction, but that's just to push everything back to the beginning. If our strength can't keep rising, facing the final disaster, the universe will restart. The universe restarts. According to my observation, the universe does not know how many times it restarted. Originally, we, the creators of the universe, should get out of this cycle by ourselves. Zinch reluctantly raised his hand, pointing at himself and Qin Sheng. The will of the great universe originally would not interfere with any results, but out of the love of her children, she hoped that all things could continue, so there was a restart of the universe. Perhaps the number of resets caused the result to happen. There is a deviation, a certain part of the will breaks away from the whole, descending on you, causing your strength to expand at an extremely fast speed, interfering with the normal timeline, leading to a different ending. Have I changed everything? Qin Sheng fell into deep thought. It turns out that the system is the incarnation of the will of the universe, and it has become the key point to change the future. Now you are the heir to the will of the universe, shouldering the heavy responsibility of fighting against the final disaster. Zinch said with a little excitement in his tone, emphasizing the importance of Qin Shang. So what is the ultimate catastrophe of the universe? So what is the ultimate catastrophe of the universe? So what